Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Thursday night. It is time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and I did a homework assignment for you, Jen.
Okay, something has happened.
Yes, something's happened. I
What
decided to do a homework
something has
assignment.
happened, people.
Well, I didn't see one. I saw two. I decided to finally do as you asked me, and I did see the Hunger Games.
Okay, good.
But I didn't
Good.
just see the Hunger Games. I saw the Hunger Games 1 and 2.
Okay. Okay.
So I did indulge.
So
And
now you understand when I tell you that
oh,
we
yeah.
live in the capital and District 12 is District 12. Yeah.
What about
And
this?
District 13 would correlate to Zion in the Matrix.
Okay. Well, I haven't gotten to that point. I've only heard the mention of District 13 because that's where I've gotten to. I know that there are
Right.
additional movies that have been made. So according to Colin, he's only seen the first two as well.
Okay, so I thought you would actually want to watch the series, I wouldn't spoil it, but I was just hoping you would at least just watch one to see. But like you have to Stanley Tucci,
Oh,
Donald
listen,
Sutherland. Like I told you, it's amazing.
Stanley Tucci is an actor's actor, and there is no role that he basically cannot morph himself into. And he's a New York theater trained actor, which of course, the one thing I will say negative about him is that he's a diehard Mets fan, like Anthony. He just can't get out of his own way.
Oh my
Listen,
God.
when I worked at the Mets, when that was my first job out of college. When I worked at the Mets, Stanley Tucci was there all the time. I mean, all the time. Saw him in the halls constantly. But in terms of an actor, oh, he's exceptional.
But that whole movie, I mean, Woody Harrelson, look, Elizabeth Banks was great. Like everybody in that movie was so good. It was just, I really liked it.
Elizabeth Banks has the ability to play characters that you just want to hate. So, she has that, ability. But the actor two actors who I absolutely cannot take my eyes off of, Philip Seymour Hoffman is just, there's nothing he can't do. He's just that good. And then, of course, Donald Sutherland, who has one of the most commanding presences I've ever seen on screen. There is, again, another person who I see. It's like my grandfather. I look at him and like, give me your wisdom, sir. I need more of it. But the whole concept of the Hunger Games, for those that have seen it and those that haven't seen it, is sort of the idea of the system that we're living in right now, where we are completely overrun by corporate special interests. We are completely overrun by a system that wants to see us fall flat on our faces. And they don't really care if there are people that are fed up with the system, because what they intend to do, if push comes to shove, is basically smack down any type of a revolution that might be brewing underneath the surface. And that's why I think the second movie was even better.
The second movie, I mean, here's the thing is that I've seen them all. And so it kind of and a while ago, right? Like you're very new to this party. Yes. Everyone on this chat is sitting there rolling their eyes. Oh, well, Peter finally saw the Hunger Games. But like, so when you talk about the second one, it kind of all blurs together for me. But people in the chat have congratulatory things to say for us.
Yeah, so we did it. We made it to six figures, not an income, but definitely in terms of recognition. So we have officially passed 100,000 subscribers, and because we decided that our growth spurt can't possibly stop at 100,000, we have passed 101,000 subscribers since our last show. It was somewhat fortuitous because I did say that I had this feeling that the next time we were live, we were going to have passed through 100,000, and we did. We did it. And as JR Jr. says, here's to 200,000. Well, what I will say is that if we do get to 200,000, I'm willing to bet that it won't take nearly as long as it took us to get to 100.
I don't know. We don't know, because also it's to me, it's like the bigger you get, the easier it is to chop off your head. And I feel like, we are in a time that like there's no accountability.
No.
It's complete authoritarianism. And all the people that we are revolting against are the people that own the media that allows us to do this. Yeah. So as somebody with common sense, I don't know how long that really can go, right? Like that's what concerns. So as much as we're like, yeah, here, this party is not lasting forever. It just isn't. They're
No,
going to pull it out from under us. And I don't mean just us, but collectively.
no, I think that, and like you said, there's no guarantee we're going to get the plaque. They might just decide, all right, well, nice job, but we're not giving you anything official to
I don't
acknowledge.
even know how it really happens. I read something that you get an email, but you guys have no idea how, like, my email situation with the show, with generational change, with the campaign, we have been through so many different emails at so many different times, and so many different accounts are linked to so many different emails. And the YouTube, I still can't figure out exactly what account is even freaking linked to.
Well,
So if there even could be a plaque, there's hurdles.
Well, David Hunter's right. If anybody's coming for us, it's definitely Palantir.
The lizard man.
Yeah, the lizard man.
And his little, cocaine partner.
Yeah, he's going to explode out of his system, and that's really what it comes down to. But we definitely want to take a moment to just thank you all. And again, Josie Justice, JR Jr., Henry Kajawa, Phil Blair, David Hunter. We could go on and on down the list. We know you guys have been with us for a long time, and we're extremely gratified for everything that we've been able to accomplish to this point. And obviously, there's a lot more to accomplish. But as we said, the intention of our platform is to use it for absolute good and to use it for the purpose of helping facilitate this revolutionary change that we so desperately need. I mean, you can't look around at what's going on right now and think that this is normal. It's not. We are in a very revolutionary period in our history. And so it is
it's dark.
It is dark. It is.
It's dark. Like there's for the people that are paying attention. Yeah. Right. For the people that aren't paying attention and that live privileged lives, they don't notice yet. But
I'm not even convinced that they don't notice it.
It doesn't affect their life or their mood because they don't pay attention. They don't watch the news. They don't really care. They don't let it bother them. And I know people that are in that category of people,
Okay, so do I.
But for those of us that are paying attention and for people that are not, privileged, it's dark and it's scary and it's overwhelming and it's everywhere. And I totally understand. And people just really do not even know what to do with themselves.
See, if we're going to get anything for crossing the six-figure number, I would want to get nominated for an antiseptic award as well. That to me is very, very important. And speaking of being run by
wait, I have to just say, vapinators, there's no need to mock the gays. Okay?
No, it's not about that. It's gay in the sense that they stink.
I know what they mean. And I think even using that term in regards to Ziohel is offensive to gays everywhere. Oh. What I'm saying is, don't do that. Don't do that to the word gay. Don't ruin the word gay by connecting it to Ziohel. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
it is very dystopian.
It's such in general, but we are where we are. And I know that we were going to have sort of this opening salvo, if you will. Oh, look at that.
I have to always put that. First of all, it's so late for them. And granted, it doesn't get dark like particularly early there, but it's so late for them. So I always want to say, hi, Tam.
So it appears that Susie Wiles said a few things about not just the president, but just things in general. And Vanity Fair, of course, decided to show these guys in a not so brilliant light. And, I know you have some thoughts. I think some of it is definitely lowbrow. Colin, can I get the article from NBC News that I sent over?
I think it's brilliant. So, probably by now, a lot of people in here have seen other people commenting on the Vanity Fair. I guess it was like a whole series, a whole section, whatever, the Vanity Fair issue. And it's really fascinating because we were talking about this earlier. I actually think of anybody in this vicinity, the one person who I would think has a brain would be Susie Wiles. And yet she agreed to 11 interviews. She granted Vanity Fair access 11 times. So you have to wonder then, Is that an intentional sabotage situation? Is she sort of sending an SOS from inside the house? Is she sort of just making it look like she'll have plausible deniability when they start coming for them, like the Nuremberg trials? Like, I don't know what she's doing, but there's no way she's stupid. So then why would she give them this access and share the shit that she shared? And this doesn't even begin to get into the pictures. That's just, that photographer needs to win every artistic award of the year. Bravo. Bravo.
Well, I think that we indicated that there are, again, Trump will come and go. His movement will come and go because it's being splintered right now. But there are people that are still fiercely loyal to the GOP, and they don't want to see it completely get, kiboshed in the midterms. And so I do think that these stories are coming out because they're trying to weed themselves of the problems that are within the party. And I do believe that some of the people in question, starting with somebody like Stephen Miller and Marco Rubio, are the ones that come to mind the most in terms.
Do we have the pictures? We're going to go through the pictures, right?
No, but I don't know how many are in here, but this is pulled from NBC News. So, Colin, if you could scroll, please. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles reflected on President Trump's second term in a series of interviews for a two-part profile published Tuesday by Vanity Fair, speaking candidly about key players in the administration who have influence over the president and some of the administration's more controversial policies. Wiles, 68, spoke to Vanity Fair writer Chris Whipple, an expert on White House chiefs of staff. 11 times over the past year about a range of issues, including the administration's Venezuela strategy and efforts to slash the size of the federal government. She said that Trump has an alcoholic's personality, despite the fact that Trump does not drink alcohol, making a comparison to her father, television sportscaster. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that Susie Wiles' father is Pat Summerall. Do you know who Pat Summerall is?
Of course.
Okay. Whom she said suffered from alcoholism. Some clinical psychologist that knows 1 million times more than I do will dispute what I'm going to say, but high-functioning alcoholics, or alcoholics in general, their personalities are exaggerated when they drink. And so I'm not a little bit of an expert in big personalities. She added that Trump operates with a view that there's nothing he can do wrong. Nothing, zero, nothing.
It doesn't say wrong, that there's nothing he can't do.
There's nothing he can't do. Okay. Well, I thought that's.
I mean, I'm just
somewhat of the same point. But Trump responded to her comment in an interview with the New York Post, saying she's done a really fantastic job. She sucks, but I gotta make 10 appearances. You see, I don't drink alcohol, so everyone knows that. But I've often said that if I did, I'd have a very good chance of being an alcoholic. I've had that many times about myself. It's a very possessive personality. Trump added, I'm fortunate I'm not a drinker. If I did, I could very well, because I've said that. What's the word? Not possessive. Possessive and addictive type personality. Oh, I've said it many times before. Wiles, who Vanity Fair reported had a live feed of Trump's Truth Social post playing on a freestanding video monitor in her office, originally planned to serve as his chief of staff for 6 months. I'm not an enabler. I'm also not a bitch. I try to be thoughtful about what I even engage in. I guess time will tell whether I've been effective. Jen, would you like to take
I think she's like sending an SOS to the world with this, but Wiles said confidently that Trump won't run for a third term, even though he has floated it occasionally. We'll get to that later when we talk about him and Miriam. He knows he can't run again, she said, adding that the 22nd Amendment makes it pretty unequivocal, and said Trump has said as much to her. After the interviews were published, Wiles denounced the story on X as a disingenuously framed hit piece on me and the finest president, White House chief of staff, and cabinet in history, she said. Significant context was disregarded, and it was done to paint an overwhelmingly chaotic and negative narrative about the president and our team. So I think we don't need to read the whole article of everything she said. I mean, I thought we were going to more go over how Vanity Fair made a point to do this, but there's no way that after 11 interviews that you get to then claim things taken out of context, right? Like you granted them access 11 times. That's why I don't know. And then she comes and now she's saying like, oh, I can't believe they did that. But that's like, is she doing that so that the rest of them don't know she's in on it? Like, I don't know.
Well, I'm going to see what I can grab for you.
Like, I don't know what it's on the one hand, she's airing the dirty laundry very willingly. She's the one who agreed to this again, multiple times. She's a professional person. You give access to the press. This is what happens. This is what happens.
Yeah.
And there's no way she didn't know that this is what could happen.
No,
That's what's like there's no way she didn't realize that. So is she sending a signal of some kind that she's not in on this and just sort of trying to like distance herself? So when shit really hits the fan, I don't know what to make of any of this.
It's a fair point. And I think that they were perhaps blindsided, but they're also not the sharpest tools in the shed.
Oh God, these pictures. Guys, if you haven't had an opportunity to see both the close-ups and the full photos of the cabinet people, highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend. This won't do it justice, but yeah.
Well, it's just a start, but Susie Wiles has no lips. Like, my
she's the best, and she's the best one of them all. They did her the nicest. The rest of them,
you know what the problem is with so many of these channels today and why they're all going to fail? You see, they can't get advertising anymore. They can't get people to pay money. And as a result, you're in a situation where they have to charge people to come to their website, but no one's who's paying. That's the thing about the internet. If you're not offering content that isn't completely devoid of real substance and ultimately ends up being something that's just
so guys, she does have the crazy eyes. She does have the crazy eyes for sure. But what's interesting is now that I've seen her close up again, for those of you who have not, you've got to see Caroline Levitt's. The fact that Caroline Levitt is 29 years old, you guys need to see the close up on her. And honestly, something is not right there. And forget the fact that every content creator and is mocking the fact that you could see literally her lip injection marks around her lips, which is pretty bad. But if you guys get a chance to see these, how they look on the magazine or in the magazine, every wrinkle, every pore, you even see that they didn't, if you guys look closely on Caroline Levitt's nose, her makeup isn't even blended. And this is the kind of stuff that Vanity Fair would Photoshop like every single one of these pictures, and the lighting and how gross and gray and how is intentional. This is an artistic protest against this administration.
Yeah, J.D. Vance looks like the town friar of some kind from like 1,000 years ago. Stephen Miller looks like
Goebbels.
Like Goebbels. He looks
like someone put this picture up. The reason they did this picture with that lighting is it actually mirrors an old photo of Goebbels, and someone put them next to each other, which is one of the things that I think the Vanity Fair team was sort of getting at. And the photos they showed of them, all full body photos in different rooms, the photos are crooked. The lighting is bad. They make them all look small. They make Marco Rubio look like he can't stand upright. Like, these are the most unflattering, ugly, yet professional photos this is brilliant. Really, it's a great form of protest. I love it. I'm here for it.
Well, I'm going to show you guys one particular photograph that I do think, if there is, because again, I just care about who are the most dangerous people. And the most dangerous person in terms of wanting to inflict pain and harm on every person he can is Stephen Miller. Now, I'm not saying Marco Rubio isn't a psycho in his own right. He's just a small man, and he feels that he has to always prove himself because he's a small man in many ways. But there is no question that
this is what I'm telling you. Yeah.
There is no denying the reality of this photograph.
This is what I'm saying. And there's no way that the photographer and the team at Vanity Fair did not do that purposefully. The
Yes.
lighting is identical. And by the way, the lighting is not really good lighting. So the photographer could have had all of these people in their best and have them looking glowing and lovely and photoshopped and pretty. And they purposefully did this. Oh, I'm so here for this.
You have to remember, if our channel was not having an impact, then pro-Israel lobby groups would not be playing ads on our channel.
It's hilarious, though. It's really a waste of money. Like, you really, if people are already with us, they're gone to them, right? Like, that's such a waste. That's like what we would call like campaigning for a Democrat in a +28 Republican district.
Well, you also have to remember that there are probably, I mean, listen, we don't have, I mean, we're at 350 right now, but, you know, if we really got up there, like when we get up to like 800, 1,000, you will get hate watchers. And for the hate watchers that are loving Israel, yeah, they probably want to see those ads. There's like a big Jews for Jesus ad that's been playing constantly. It's like a minute and a half long.
I never see it. I don't get ads. I don't get ads.
But again, the thing about somebody like Stephen Miller, he sees this photograph of him and he probably thinks it's the coolest thing he's ever seen. Oh, man, yeah, I look really cool in that photo.
He quoted Goebbels at that last time when he made that ridiculous speech. He quoted Goebbels.
Yeah.
So that's his idol right there.
So these men and women, very small indeed,
God,
they did not. First of all, how they didn't know what they were walking into with somebody like Vanity Fair shows you just how completely off the mark they really are in general. And when you put people in positions of power, and this again comes from the fact that Trump is paranoid, rightfully so. I'm not saying that Trump shouldn't be paranoid considering what he's had to deal with over the past decade plus. But when you are such a bull in a china shop, when you are such a gauche, unkempt type person, you're going to surround yourself with probably similar type people. And also you're going to surround yourself with nothing but kiss asses to tell you how great you are. And somebody like Stephen Miller and somebody like Marco Rubio, I mean, it'd be no different than having somebody like Lindsey Graham in your administration. The reason he has those people around isn't because he's ideologically lined up with them. It's because they know what to do to make an impression on him. They know how to kiss his ass, and that's what he cares about above anything else.
I think Marco Rubio is there because Miriam Adelson wanted him to be VP, and Trump said no, and that was like the next best thing. Also, guys, I didn't get to say on Marco Rubio's close-up, you actually see his hair transplant line. Like this is some, like you could see all the little hairs like that are just straight. Like it's so not good. Or where his hair is receding. It's not good. But yeah. They were done really wrong in a beautiful way.
You know, speaking of Trump, one of the things that we try to do here on our channel is make sure that we are not being distracted by what is considered the sexy topic of the day, because that's what gets clicks. Now, I think we've done a pretty good job of getting clicks on relevant stories. And what's been relevant regarding Trump, even though all anybody seems to want to have talked about over this week, and it is unfortunate, you know, when you look back on Rob Reiner's life and what he accomplished, whether starting with All in the Family and, you know, then getting his huge break as a director. Now, granted, listen, he's a Nepo baby, no two ways about it. Carl Reiner was his father. He was Hollywood royalty in the mold of somebody like Mel Brooks, and they were able to accomplish quite a bit. But, you know, Rob Reiner was able, while he did have the keys to the castle, he knew how to use those keys. You got a lot of kids with keys to the castle, don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, Michael Douglas got the keys to the castle from Kirk Douglas, and he knew what he was doing. But there's a lot of them over the years that don't know what they're doing. And so Rob Reiner carved himself one hell of a career. He made countless memorable films, whether it's This Is Spinal Tap, When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, The Princess Bride,
Misery.
You know, he had a very wide range of capability in terms of director, and he had the pulse of the average American moviegoer, and that takes a hell of a lot of talent.
You know what one of his first movies was that he directed?
Oh, there's also Stand By Me. I forgot about that one.
Stand By Me, which is a huge one. One of his earliest movies was Sure Thing.
I didn't know that.
And have you seen Sure Thing?
No.
It was John Cusack. Like,
oh, right. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I know of it. And that's why I wonder why Cusack, John Cusack, we've been in communication through social media with John Cusack a few times, and I met John Cusack once. I noticed that he was really like celebrating Rob Reiner, like just talking about how much he meant to him. And I didn't realize
everybody loved Rob Reiner. Yeah. That's the thing. Everybody from all across the spectrum, like political spectrum, loved Rob Reiner. But and the other person, just so guys, if you ever do see Sure Thing, Nicolette Sheridan, she was so smoking in that. Like that was
absolutely. And while everyone, again, I'm seeing constantly like people talking about that Rob Reiner was a shit lib and all this stuff. Yeah, he was. And you know what? One of the rare things that I can say about somebody like Rob Reiner, unlike a lot of other shit libs out there that basically spend their entire life on social media, Rob Reiner actually had talent. He actually carved a piece of Americana in his image in a very effective way. And considering that Jen and I are both SVU, Law and Order aficionados, to me, there is no greater courtroom scene in the history of film, in my opinion. You want to say possibly the courtroom scene in To Kill a Mockingbird, which was
I was going to say,
Outside of that, Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise and A Few Good Men, that's as good as it gets. And that's Rob Reiner. So he really did carve a nice slice of Americana as a result. And just the way that Trump decided to go after him, there's two things to think about when he went after him. On the one hand, I don't expect anything less from Trump because that's just who he is. He's a very self-centered, egotistical, small man who, again, has accomplished things. He has. But he's one of only two people that have ever won the presidency in non-consecutive terms.
Okay, so if you consider that in and of itself a great accomplishment at some level that's contributory to society in any way, I don't think he's accomplished shit. I think he's a train wreck. I think he's a train wreck, nepo baby piece of shit. And I think that, and again, I had problems with Rob Reiner, in terms of him with Russia and, and Hillary.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, all of that. Oh,
and
for
again,
sure.
Don't forget, Rob Reiner was probably, if he wasn't a 100 millionaire, he was pretty damn close to it. The guy does live in a bubble. He does live in one of the wealthiest suburbs in the world, and he's a Hollywood icon. As a result, his opinions are probably very much like Trump's in that very few people that he likes or agrees with is ever going to push back on him and tell him he's wrong.
Maybe, but everyone loves him. There's a reason why, people in Hollywood do not get along. They don't. There's everybody, like everyone will talk shit about everybody else. And it's generally pretty catty and to have someone that's been around that long and done that wide of a range of genres and worked with that many different people and nobody has anything bad to say about him from a professional working with perspective, that speaks volumes about something, because that's not typical.
Now you have two ways of looking at this. On the one hand, yes, Rob Reiner did make it a very poignant part of his life to go after Trump, to constantly talk about him, to constantly complain about him over and over and over again. And I get it. But you know what, Donald? The guy was fucking murdered with his wife by his son, and not with a gun to the head so he couldn't feel it, with a knife. So he clearly died in a lot of pain and with the knowledge that it was his son that took him off this earth. So the fact that you said what you said and then had the opportunity to have the press corps come back the next day and said, are you really sure you want to stick with this? Do you want to maybe think twice about what you said? Listen, he was terrible to Trump, and Trump speaking in the third person as well. Are you fucking kidding me? When it comes to Donald Trump, he totally was a really stupid person. And I'll tell you what's even worse. You know what's even worse than Trump making those statements? You know how we rag on the shit libs and all of the Democratic Party adjacent political commentators that like to sniff the farts of Jasmine Crockett right now like they're doing? How about the fucking conservative commentators that's like, and again, Laura Loomer, Jack Posobiec, and I could go on and on about how, well, Trump is right. He was right about Rob Reiner. Is there anything, how big of a whore can you possibly be? How big of a whore can you be?
Well, are you speaking of Laura Loomer specifically? Because that's pretty big.
I'm not speaking to her. I'm not speaking to her. I mean, she's just one of the absolute worst human beings alive. But these people and the way that they will, anything that he says, anything that he does, and remember, guys, it's all for a paycheck. I take a lot of pride, and I think you probably would agree, take a lot of pride knowing that we built this channel from absolutely nothing. We didn't cut any corners. We didn't cheat. We did it the right way. We stuck to our guns. We stuck to stories that mattered. And eventually we caught fire and people like what we have to say. We never say anything for a paycheck. We do it because we care. And for the people out there that make money over the pain and suffering of other people,
it's gross.
To hell with you people.
Yeah. Seriously.
Now, with all that being said, there has been a huge distraction regarding Trump going after Rob Reiner and those that followed suit along with him. We have said time and again that this country is run by the Zio state. And if you needed any further proof, this is Trump talking about Israel. This is after he made his statement regarding Rob Reiner. Everyone wanted to focus on Rob Reiner. No one in corporate media and in independent media was focused on this.
President of the United States, I will always support Jewish Americans, and I will always be a friend and a champion to the Jewish people. I have been. And I will say, you know, if you go back 10, 12, 15 years ago at the most, the strongest lobby in Washington was the Jewish lobby.
It's like he's breaking ground here. First of all, could we just address the fact that he is slurring the shit out of his words when he talks?
Was this the last night's thing?
No, this was like during the Hanukkah party that I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is from Tuesday, I want to say. I believe it was Tuesday night that they did this. So
Israel, that's no longer true.
Oh,
You have to
really?
be very careful. You have a Congress in particular, which is becoming anti-Semitic.
Oh, it's Congress now. Now it's Congress.
Congress is anti-Semitic. They are up Israel's ass.
Anti-Semitic.
Oh my God. With the exception of like a handful of people, every single person in Congress is a Zio whore.
You have
He is deranged.
Yeah, it's like 90 to 95% of Congress votes with Israel.
Yes.
90 to 95%.
And it's not enough for them. It's not enough for these people.
We're
Oh my God.
we're losing our control over Congress. We used to have the strongest lobby, and now it's the China lobby. I'm sure that's what he's going to say.
You have AOC +3. You have those people. Ilhan Omar, she hates Jewish people.
You know what? She honestly,
She is in his head, Jen.
she lives in his head rent free. It's glorious. But this is starting, that is slanderous. That almost sounds actionable to me because he's not using a term like anti-Semite where it's so amorphous now that we don't even know what that means. He just said that she doesn't like Jewish people. So he just stated something that is unequivocally untrue and I'm sure could be demonstrated. Like he's getting very close to, I mean, again, there's so many lawsuits against him in this administration right now. It would just be another one, but
just add it to the list. Get in line. You're not getting to it until
they're involved in so many lawsuits. It's crazy.
By the time they get to them all, he'll already have passed on.
Exactly. He knows
Very careful because there's been a big change. You know, if you go back 15 years ago, I'm not Jewish, but my father was very friendly with many, many Jewish people, was honored by Federation. I would go with him. Federation of Jewish Philanthropies and many other things. And we grew up respecting and loving Jewish people. You know, you don't even think about it. In Brooklyn and Queens mostly. And my father.
We totally didn't respect the blacks or the Hispanics, but the Jews, yes, the Jews, they were
Well, the Jews had money.
The Jews had money. We call it what it is. I only see green. When I see the blacks and Hispanics, they don't have money, but the Jews, they had a lot of it, and we had to do business with them. I mean, honestly, that's what he's saying. That is what he's saying.
Father didn't go to Manhattan. He never went to Manhattan from the standpoint. He could never understand how in Brooklyn you could buy a piece of land for $3 a foot and how in Manhattan you had to pay $1,000 a foot. He said, I can't get that. I don't like it. I like to buy it for $3. So it was different. It's a different thinking. In a way, I'm glad he didn't do that because he let me have some of that fun. And I had a lot of fun in Manhattan. We did great. But my father would tell me the most powerful lobby that there is in this country is the Jewish lobby. It's the Israeli lobby. It's not that way anymore. You have a lot of people in your way. You have a lot of people that don't want to help Israel. You have a lot of.
We want to help it. We want to help it to its end. We want to help it along on its way out of the door. We want to help it to the, the fire bin pit of history.
Didn't you just make a deal with United Arab Emirates, who apparently is very friendly with Hamas?
Hamas.
Well, listen, I'm totally helping facilitate it as long as I'm making a buck on the left and a buck on the right. It all works for Trump. That's what it's about.
Well, that's the thing. He's making money either way. He has no horse in this race. He knows he's not going to win again, he can't run again, rather. He knows that. All that stuff is just theater. And I don't think he's going to live through this term. So none of that really matters one way or the other. He has no horse in how any of this turns out. It all benefits him and his family. They've already made how many millions, billions of dollars from this administration alone.
Yeah.
From this term.
Administration alone, they estimate they've already made, for the family, they've already made over $1 billion. So yeah, I'm not surprised.
People in Congress that don't like Israel. You have a lot of people in Congress that, in a way, I think, Mike, we could say it, right? You're there. You're doing an amazing job, Mike Lawler. They hate Israel.
They hate Israel.
They hate Israel.
Yeah,
and
we
if
do.
You would have told me 15 years ago that was possible, Jason, I would have said, there's no way. There's no way that's possible. But
I thought that too.
Yeah, but
I'll
why?
give him that. I thought that too.
Yeah, they're forgetting why. They just pretend like there's just nothing.
It just happened out of nowhere.
We just woke up one day and decided we hate Jews. That's it.
Happening. And obviously it's getting progressively worse. Less so in the Senate, but the Senate's starting also. You get glimmers, when I'm in the back rooms talking to people, you get glimmers of statements that you say, whoa, where did that come from? So we have to be, Sid, we have to be very careful because bad things are happening. And then you see what goes on in Australia or October 7th. How about October 7th?
It's a setup.
Got to hit all the sympathy talking points.
It's a setup, ladies and gentlemen. Don't fall for it.
And then you have people that deny it ever happened. How about the people that deny, like they deny the Holocaust, but you figure, well, that's just many years. Well, October 7th is not many years at all. And you have people that deny October. I saw tape that I wish I never saw it, actually. I wish I never saw it. I got to see tape that some of you got to see, but as president, I got to see things I wish I never saw. But there's no denying it. But then they'll say, oh, the tape was a rigged tape. It was a tape that never existed. They made it up. It's just propaganda. I don't know if they believe it. I don't think they believe it. But you have to be very, very careful. Bad things are happening, and we're not going to let that happen. While I'm president and the DOJ and Harmeet, we're not
bad things are happening. See, again, I agree. Bad things are definitely happening. And bad things are happening to Jews. But the Jews are doing it to the Jews.
Oh, yes.
See, Ziohel killed its own people on October 7th. Until I'm convinced otherwise, Ziohel is behind the shooting in Australia.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, bad things are happening to the Jews.
Jews!
And again, and I say it, the call is coming from inside the house.
100%.
They're eating their own.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're even eating the Jews. Have you heard this one? They're totally eating the Jews.
But please be vigilant and careful because you have some bad people that are now in Congress that were unthinkable to be in Congress 12, 13, 14 years ago, 15 years ago.
So I so wish I could be showing a coinciding, enough of him. I so wish we could be, like when he's saying that, There's people in Congress that would have been unthinkable. And I would be putting up people like Brian Mast sitting in his IOF uniform in his office. Or how about, who else is there that we now could say is like who is one of the like crazy people that's there right now? There's people there that I never would have thought you would have people like that.
Well, Randy Fine, obviously.
Oh, exactly. Randy Swine.
And if you guys haven't seen the list of, again, we talk about this constantly. And if you guys are not currently supporting or are not familiar with our PAC, Revolutionary Change PAC, guys, click the QR code with your phone and check us out. It is very
really. It's just right now. When you send people there, I feel like it's going to be a little bit disappointing. No. It's a landing page. It's our PAC, and we're gearing up to start doing stuff in January for our first candidate, who is Butch Ware, and we will be doing stuff to support him in California.
And the point I'm making is that it's not just AIPAC. There are several groups out there. Some are more adjacent to the Democrats, some are more adjacent to the Republicans, but it all gets back to the same problem. We are run by the Zio state. And I bring this up because if you haven't seen the endorsement candidate list from DMFI, Democratic Majority for Israel, that's a Democratic group. And they've endorsed, there's like 80 Democrats on the list. And who, of course, is the most prominent name on that list? Well, you all know her. You all hate her probably not as much as I do, but Debbie was so much else. And like I said, these groups, they're bad, but it's all connected. And I'll tell you why. Now, I always thought, and I was probably wrong to assume this, but I thought that Mark Levin was a small guy. He looks like a small curmudgeon guy. Turns out he's not that small. He's actually 6 feet tall. So it's very interesting watching the body language.
Oh, I'd say he's still a pretty small guy.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But
it's a very small man. These are all very small men. Do you need to see the Oligarch Chronicles, Tales of Emasculated Men Vying to Destroy the World? Small men.
He's definitely a small man. Exactly. But what I will say is that I have never seen anybody. I'm not even going to describe it. I'm just going to show it. If you have any doubts that the tiny hats run Washington, D.C., here's a prime example of just that.
And I said, this is our first Jewish president. No, he's the first Jewish president to serve two not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
That's right. Bad things happened on the second one. Namely, the election was rigged.
It's like a clown show.
It's a clown show of toddlers.
Can you imagine just, again, who the flying F is Mark Levin? He's a shitbag media personality. And the way he has his arm around Trump screams, just remember who owns your ass.
Exactly.
Do as we do.
Well, look at Trump's face in this picture, too.
You don't look comfortable at all.
No, not at all. And watch her as this goes out further, because I was watching her when I first saw this clip. I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
And we found out, and you see that happening. But
and you are the greatest president.
Thank you very much.
And God bless you. I miss you. I miss you.
You can't make this up. And as I said, while everyone is focusing on his terrible, coarse language towards the recently departed Rob Reiner and his wife, this is the story that is getting ignored. If you need any further validation about your feelings regarding this government and who's really in charge, nobody puts their arms around the president of the United States like this, unless they're trying to make a point, which, as you can see with Mark Levin, he's a little too familiar with the president.
Well, have you ever done a deep dive into Mark Levin and what's his background? I don't really know. I just know him as, talking head douche.
But I actually haven't.
Well, right. So we don't know who he's really connected to.
Well, Willie brings up a very good point. Mark Levin, who, like Ben Shapiro,
that's one.
They were dead set against Trump back in 2015, 2016. And all you have to do is go back and listen to Trump in 2015 and 2016 and understand how he cultivated such a following amongst the populace. It's not hard to see.
No, okay. So let's say, okay, so you're right. Okay, so Mark Levin is a never Trumper in 2016, and now he's up there like filleting him. Okay. So how do we get from one point to the other? We look above them. What's above the pay grade? So at the end of the day, they all answer to the same oligarch corporate donors. So really, at the end of the day, Mark Levin got his talking to and got his marching orders, and everybody got in line at some point behind Trump because they realized that that was the menu.
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter what his personal opinion was. These people don't have personal opinions. They don't. They have financial advisors.
Which is also why it's very plausible that, as Whitney Webb points out, it is one nation under blackmail. So eventually, when they had to use the blackmail against Trump, they used it and they got him to fall in line. They never anticipated that he was going to win. They couldn't. But then again, people that live in bubbles tend to forget how the real people of this country actually feel, how the average person really feels. And it's obvious what's going on here. But I don't want to neglect a very important story before we come to the top of the hour. Now,
Yes.
I am sure many of you have heard about a murder that is not going to get talked about very much. It was initially, and I hope it continues because it's an obligation on our part to talk about it. And what I found the most interesting regarding the assassination of Nuno Loureiro, here's a guy who was a renowned professor at MIT. Now, when you think about the top schools in this country, when you think about the top schools, particularly when it comes to research, MIT, the two schools that come to mind aside from MIT are probably Caltech and Stanford. That's about it. So,
This story was not talked about. This story was not even covered. I didn't know about it really until you said something, and then I looked it up. But this is really scary, actually, and it connects Trump's dots to what, the nuclear thing, the nuclear program with they're merging.
So I'm going to pull an article first that I think has more relevance here because I'm pulling it directly from MIT. Forget the corporate news. This is news coming directly from the institution. Nuno Loureiro, professor and director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center. How about murdered at 47? You can't even say the word murder. In his 10 years at MIT, Loureiro helped illuminate the physics occurring at the center of fusion vacuum chambers and at the edges of the universe. You know, Foster Grant glasses, maybe a Bob Mackie jacket, nice tie. Looks like a decent
I'm so
guy.
disappointed in MIT's journalism. Like, this is really bad. First of all, I know that they're engineering school and that journalism isn't their thing, but they do have some pretty brilliant people there. First of all, you don't say dies in the present tense. Died. Even if the fact that you're using died as if it just happened.
Why can't they say killed?
Oh, they could say killed, but you wouldn't say kills. Just like you don't say dies, like as if it was something that he just did for fun. Yeah, he sails. He dies. Like, that's just not, it's journalism 101. Thank you.
A lauded theoretical physicist and fusion scientist, Loureiro joined MIT's faculty in 2016. His research addressed complex problems lurking at the center of fusion vacuum chambers and at the edges of the universe. Loureiro's research at MIT advanced scientists' understanding of plasma behavior, including turbulence, and uncovered the physics behind astronomical phenomena like solar flares. He was the Hermann Feshbach Professor of Physics at MIT and was named Director of the Plasma Science and Fusion Center in 2024. So Lord knows what he's accomplished in the last year, had a lot of people concerned. Through his contributions to fusion science and engineering began far before that. His research on magnetized plasma dynamics, magnetic field amplification, and confinement and transport in fusion plasmas helped inform the design of fusion devices that could harness the energy of fusing plasmas, bringing the dream of clean, near limitless fusion power closer to reality. And you know what? I don't need to read anything past that, because in the end, what would be the motivation to take out a man like this? Money and power. And that's it.
My only question is that people like this gentleman don't necessarily work in a vacuum, right? So he has notes, he has probably assistants, he has people that he works with. And just because you kill a person doesn't mean you kill an idea. And it just like everything else, you slow it down. So that really was what they're trying to do. They're just trying to buy some time. And it has to do with whatever merger or deal that Trump has going through right now with something. So, because you're not going to stop it from happening. There's other people. Yeah.
The history of science in the 20th century was not told from the heroics of Nikola Tesla. It was told from the heroics, supposedly, of Thomas Edison. And therein lies the difference, because Tesla was as impactful and creative a mind as Thomas Edison, if not more so. But that's not how history wrote it. And the same is true for those that get in the way of capital. That's really what it comes down to, especially those that are currently in power. Again, champion of plasma physics, fusion power, which I can remember, guys, playing the game Sim City when I was a kid, and them talking about in the year 2050, we'll be running on fusion power and the planet will be free of pollutants for the most part. Now, of course, if the powers that be had their way, that of course could never possibly happen, because there's no money in clean power.
So do you think they just got rid of him because they didn't want him to get to a solution? Or did he know something?
Well, this is the clip that you sent me. I want to make sure I give a shout out.
Yeah, always make sure this stuff's in the description when we use these things.
Yes. So this is coming from Dave Norton. So Dave Norton has an Instagram page, and here is the research that he's providing regarding what may have been the reason why Mr. Loureiro met an unfortunate end a couple of nights ago.
Conspiracy theorist, but there's obviously connective tissue between the top nuclear fusion scientist at MIT being assassinated in his home on Monday and Truth Social merging with a nuclear fusion firm this morning.
Well, they can't even wait for the body to get cold for them to show what their true intentions were. $6 billion with a B. And in the grand scheme of things, what's $6 billion? That's not that much in the world of science, engineering, and obviously power sources. $6 billion's nothing. That's just the start. But could it be a gateway to billions upon billions of additional dollars that are going to be used for the purpose of different types of energy expansion? Or perhaps there is really no way to stop fusion from becoming a main source of energy that we would be using. But then it's a question of who controls it. So if some professor at MIT has the means to control the source of the power, but multinational corporations decide, yeah, it's not how it's going to work. We're getting that technology. Maybe he was threatened. Maybe they said, hey, you got to give up the tech. And he's like, I ain't giving you shit.
I don't know. I just don't find this coincidental.
I don't either.
For $6 billion, you'd give Stephen King a hard time for making those plot points happen in the same book. Come on, this is too far-fetched. The president can't wait just 3 days after the top nuclear fusion scientist in the country is assassinated in the same industry that you're now merging your social media company with? You gotta be fucking kidding me! Oh, and here's a fancy little footnote. The government of Russia, through the joint stock company Rosnano, invested in TAE in October 2012. And the Rosnano CEO, Anatoly Shubais, became a board member. Other investors include the Wellcome Trust and the Kuwait Investment Authority. Guys.
Right. See, so Russia, they're oligarchs just like us.
Russia,
Same
really?
thing.
Russia. You know.
Yeah, people think Russia's the bad guy. Yes, they're the bad guy. They're all the bad guys.
No. Well, for the
It's
purpose,
empire. It's empire, capitalism, and oligarchy, and it's destroying us.
well, for the purpose of empire, you always have to have a scapegoat. You always have to have, point a direction to somebody and say that's who did it. But in reality, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of power, and that type of energy. It's not a question of can you stop it. It's a question of who's going to control the means of production. And if some professor at MIT thought he was going to control the means of production, and Big Brother, if you will, comes in and says, "Yeah, that's not how we're doing this." Who's going to protect him? Clearly nobody. And do we really think we're ever going to find the assassin? Just like the assassin, again, all of these stories, trust nothing, believe nothing, and trust your instincts that everything is a conspiracy. That's kind of where I'm at this point.
I just think it's so off the wall that it's just happening in like plain sight. We're watching this. Like, does anybody really believe there's no connection to a 47-year-old man dying? By the way, it just says died. He just died. Okay. He just died. And he's
fell
like
down a flight of stairs.
He's like this preeminent nuclear fission specialist. And that's the same company that Trump's truth. Like, you can't make this shit up.
No. And and we could get started because Josie's here. Clint has not arrived yet, but hopefully he will be here shortly. He's usually on time. And I don't know, Rach, if you want to.
I have it. What is it you want?
No, I was going to say, shoot just a quick message over to Clint to let him know it's in case he may be running late or wants to just let him know, hey, we want to get started. But we've never spoken with Josie before, and I don't believe she was working at Tim Pool's compound at the time that you had gone on the channel.
I don't think so.
And so one thing that we've tried to do as often as we can is we want to cross-pollinate with as many different content creators who are on the mission to help facilitate what we're currently living through right now, which is a revolutionary period. And I maintain, and I will continue to maintain, that there is a lot of crossover between progressives and libertarians that does not get talked about enough, especially on core issues that we're dealing with right now. And how we find that synergy to advance our mission forward, I think, is immensely important. And hopefully we will be able to do that with another wonderful content creator who knows her shit, and I'm sure will engage in some friendly banter because Lord knows that's what we like to do here. Josie Glombach, who I hope I said it right, the redheaded libertarian. Welcome to Revolutionary Change.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. You're so cute. Look at you. I've never seen you before.
Oh, well, no, you're cute.
Oh, that's so
the ladies are getting along already, folks. That's a great start. Josie, how did you basically get your start in sort of like content creation? Obviously, I've seen you on Timcast, and you've obviously been on with a lot of different people, and more or less your political, not just ideology, but sort of your evolutionary period that kind of brought you to where you are now.
Totally by accident. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. So I grew up in Massachusetts. And after Trump was elected for the first time Trump was elected, I saw firsthand the worst derangement syndrome I'd seen in anywhere in my life to this day. Like, there were people who couldn't say his name without gagging. I mean, it was intense. And I'm a normal person. I'm just a normal person, and I felt like I was surrounded by that, and I just wanted kind of more normal people who could maybe relate to me. So I had a friend who was like, "Why don't you try getting on Twitter? Just hop on Twitter." I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "Maybe you'll meet some like-minded people." I said, "Okay." So I got on Twitter, and I just started talking. And I mean, within a month, I had 5,000 followers. I was anonymous at the time too. I was just wanted friends. I was hoping to meet one or two like-minded people. And I messed up. I messed up really big. And
who's the star?
Yeah, we're watching. It looks like
you're watching. This is Tux. I rescue kittens.
Oh.
Yep. So this is Tux. He's my foster fail. They just, I had a group of 4 kittens in a litter that were going to be killed if they weren't rescued.
Oh.
So I took them, and the rescue that I worked through said, hey, can you take one more? I said, yeah, sure. And he hands me this one. And this little black tuxedo cat with a milk mustache. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're never going to get this one back. This one's mine now. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
okay.
I feel immediately.
So you're kind of the crazy cat lady is what you're saying.
I do have a lot of cats. I love cats. I foster kittens and I rescue kittens, and if that makes me a crazy cat lady, then so be it. I'm a crazy cat lady.
That's the argument between a dog person and a cat person. But for me, I like both. I can deal with cats and dogs. Obviously, the appeal to cats versus dogs, it's less maintenance and you can travel more easily when you have a cat than when you have a dog.
Some people just like cats better. I have a healthy respect for the feline. I just don't want any living in my house. I respect them. I don't think they're pack animals.
Well, it's not your house anymore once the cat's there. Like,
well, right. And the thing is, it's like they allow you to be like, it's just a very different vibe with a cat. And I also have this weird thing about cats on countertops. Like I have little dogs that can't get up on the countertops, but I like animals. So like, yeah. I like animals. Like I like, if somebody handed me a kitten, I'd like it, like I think it's cool. I wouldn't want to take it home.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. There's a lot of, I like cats. I have a dog. I'm definitely more of a cat person than a dog person. It's like having babies after a point. It's like you like to hold them and then hand them back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's rescuing kittens. It's just something I was called to do, so I just do it. And
so you met community on X, like you sort of started building community and finding your people. And where were you before all of this politically? Like, I mean, Massachusetts is generally a bluish, blue place. But, like when you were coming at this, were you already in a very libertarian mindset?
I always had a libertarian mindset, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was. I knew that I wasn't a conservative. I tried that after 9/11 and, everybody was all pumped up for war and all that. And that didn't feel right. I knew I wasn't a leftist. And I actually found Rand Paul I found Ron Paul, and then I found Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, and I'm starting to be like, oh, okay, there I am.
Okay.
So it started making sense in that regard.
Okay. So you're with the sane people. We can appreciate that. And there's things we disagree with Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, but I have respect that they're in this for service and that they're doing this and on the best for their constituents. I do believe that. And that's really, for us, our big thing is the corruption and the money influence. And once that gets out, if we all agree on the premise of democracy, where sort of like, for the most part, the majority rules with policies not involving human, civil rights and liberties, but like, why can't just represent your people, So I think that's where we can all sort of agree, is we just want people to be represented and not corporations. Yes.
No, I agree with that very much. What I love about Thomas Massey is he's got an A rating, a 100% rating on being a constitutional libertarian. Everything he does is by what the founding fathers would have done. So I really respect that about him. He's one of the closest. He is the closest to a founding father that we have in Congress right now. So as a revolutionary historian, I really, really appreciate that about him and drawing those parallels and seeing what he does.
I would definitely agree that if there is a person on Capitol Hill that embodies what a federally elected civil servant is supposed to be, there is no one better than Massey. He's the best that we have. And I say that as somebody who has a political ideology that goes from progressive to libertarian, depending on the given issue. But more than anything else, that is a principled person. He is willing to stand up to a president who is now threatening him with tens of millions of dollars being thrown at him in a primary. And all because the dividing issue of our time, which is the state of Israel, along with this corporatization of our entire system. And so I'm wondering, from your perspective, how do you see the future of politics in general occurring? Because the two-party duopoly, it's dying. It's obvious that it's dying. The Democrats are going first because I think, at least in terms of the GOP side, there is a definitive split amongst those that would identify as America first, which is where I would assume you fall. And then, of course, you have this sort of neocon contingent that is still breathing, but it's nowhere near as strong as it once was. So how do you see things ultimately evolving going forward?
I think that there's a divide in the Democrats, which you have called out. It's kind of the progressive Marxists versus like more of the normal Democrats. So they're falling apart. And what we're seeing we're kind of seeing some division happening on the conservative side as well. What I thought was a split between the Libertarians and the neocons of that. It seems to be there's like a whole different faction now in there, and I don't really know what to call it or what it is, but it's dividing, and it feels like the neocons are winning. It feels like we're funding, like you have Trump, who didn't start any new wars in his first term, and then he ran on the idea that he wasn't going to do that again, like he wasn't going to start any more new wars in his next term. And I mean, we get in, and then we're proxying war with Israel, and now we have this Venezuela. We're at the heels of Venezuela right now, possibly starting a war there. And it's not what he ran on. And I really liked that he was kind of an anti-war president. I like that he's ending these wars and these conflicts, but he's not ending wars and conflicts that we're involved in, which that needs to be the next thing. We need to stop funding Ukraine. You know, we need to get away from Israel and let them do their own thing. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that's valid. I think the split there is between neocons that are, you know, your Marco Rubios, these people that are like just always like chomping at the bit to go to war somewhere. And then you've got people like Thomas Massie that are going to be America first. And I think that's where us as a country have the potential, this is what I've been saying for a while, to have any sort of split out of the duopoly, I believe is going to come from the populist right, the America first people like Thomas Massie. It's not going to come from the left. And the reason it's not going to come from the left is that the left within the Democratic Party anyway, like we're talking about, they're not really the left. Like this country doesn't really have a left. The Democratic Party is just corporate, slightly nicer to gay people, and we support a woman's right to choose. But basically, they're just corporate whores. So the actual left isn't in the Democratic Party, and the people that act like the progressive, that's just controlled opposition, right? Like that's just for they don't do anything. They're not going to do anything. Whereas people like Thomas Massie on the right are actually starting to do things to separate. Whereas at the end of the day, those progressives or on the left in the Democratic Party, they fall in line.
Oh, yeah. They not only fall in line, but I also think it's important to point out that their party is no different than the GOP for those that take the corporate money. It's one and the same. They're all just playing a game, and you know, AOC plays it, Crockett plays it. They all play it, but when push comes to shove, they're not going to cross the leadership of the party. They're not going to do anything that really would put them at odds with the establishment. It's a lifestyle. They like being in the club. They like having the career. To actually put that at risk would require them to act like somebody like Thomas Massie. I wish he wasn't the only one. You know, Marjorie obviously had a big change of heart regarding her politics over the last year, and she had her motivations obviously stemmed in a lot of different issues. But, you know, credit where credit's due. And so I think that the walls are kind of collapsing on the red-blue divide, conservative-liberal divide. I think it's on an issue-by-issue basis, and whether you're bought or paid for it. That's where I see it.
I had heard once that no matter who you elect, you get John McCain. So I think that I'm seeing some truth to that really for the first time. We have Trump, who honestly has the biggest opportunity to fix a lot of things that are wrong with this country. And, you know, he's kind of squandering it. He's kind of squandering it. All of a sudden it's all about foreign aid and foreign wars and not America first policies. I love what he's doing at the border. I do like that. If you were here illegally and you're being kicked out and there's a lot of criminals that are being kicked out of this country, and that's great. I love that. Something that Massey is doing is he's holding the things that Donald Trump's mad at him about is he's holding him accountable to his platform and what he ran on. And that's why he's being primaried. He's holding him accountable to exactly what he said he would do, yet he's getting primaried because of that. And he also, the other thing Thomas Massey does is he holds his colleagues accountable to the Constitution, which they took a vow to. So, I mean, for instance, he made everybody come in to get quorum when they were trying to stay home and vote from home. And he's like, no, he's like, I'm not going to let, what did he say? I'm not going to let this country die, or I'm not going to let the Constitution die in an empty chamber. Something on those lines. You know, he holds people accountable. I really like that. And going back to what you said about AOC and how they kind of toe the party line, do you remember when she was a freshman and she was really stepping out of line and being really bold and
Right.
going against the policy, and Nancy Pelosi pulls her aside, and that never happened again.
Correct.
So there's a very deep power that runs throughout Congress, and there's leadership, and we're definitely not ruled. This is not a democracy.
No. It's a democracy for the top 1%. They
Yes.
all get to pick and choose how things go amongst themselves, right? Like they get a vote. The people that go to Davos get a vote.
Mhm.
That's what I said. Like people, if you're not invited to Davos, you have no power here. You don't count in terms of policy. You just don't. And that's one of the problems I see is how many people in the electorate, regardless of what ridiculous team they're rooting for, they really think, one, that their vote matters, which it doesn't. It really doesn't matter. And two, they think that those people that they're voting for are actually going to serve them. They believe that.
Josie, I want to ask you a question regarding immigration because I'm much more of a hardliner than Jen is, but I also think that if we're going to address this issue with the floodgates being open, people coming into this country from all different, whether it's war-torn parts of the world, third world countries, etc., we are not talking about what I feel is the main issue here, which is we have multinational corporations that if they could get away with it, they would have us all be slaves and not pay us anything. And so rather than have labor have strength in this country, they'd rather just bring people in who will work for pennies on the dollar, whether a Walmart, whether an Amazon, or any place in between that basically dilutes the labor power of this country, the ability to people make, enough to live, to thrive, etc. And so where is the accountability that we can collaborate on regarding if we want a strong border, we also have to hold those that want lax border policies held accountable, because no one wants lax border policies more than multinational corporations. That's what they want. So where do we find common ground on this issue to sort of deal with the heart of that problem to ensure that we don't have the floodgates opened up?
It was Friedman or Rothbard, but they said you can't have open borders in a welfare state. So that would be the first place to go, is to I would say if you come here, if you come to our state, you can't have aid for 2 years. 2 years, no aid. You can't have any help. You have to come here and kind of do it on your own. If you want to if you want to immigrate, you should do it the right way, because there's people who do it the right way. And then there are some of the most hardline pro-immigration people you've ever met, people who immigrated properly to our country. And they're seeing people break in here. And I think it's something like, it's a ridiculous number. I read it today. Something like 70% of the people on welfare are like immigrated here. So it's, or migrated here, not even immigrated here, but it's something really high and really ridiculous. So that would be a way to draw a line, is to have harder rules when it comes to getting assistance. But what's happening is they've opened up the border, or they had opened up the border and said, come one, come all, and you get your free healthcare and you get your free cell phone, and here's a bunch of money, and we're going to house you and whatever. And then of course, you're going to get an ID, and you're going to be able to vote in our country, and you're going to be able to kind of keep this deep state in power forever. Because of course, if you come to this place and you get all this free stuff, of course you're going to keep voting for those people who gave it to you. Why wouldn't you? That would be the smart thing to do. So when it comes to welfare, that's where we would have to really draw a line and have some hard limits when it comes to welfare, because once you stop giving the people who came here with not to build the American dream, who came here just to do what they were doing in another country somewhere else, it gets taken advantage of.
From where I stand, when we've had Clint on the show, and Clint, if you're out there, get in here. If not, then we'll see on another stream. But anyway, I think it's imperative that we try to find common ground wherever we can. And one of those issues that to me is like, if you don't agree on this issue, this is like, I can't get past this. To me, single payer healthcare to me is not only the most efficient way to run a system, it's the most cost effective. And so what Clint was agreeable on was that I'll give you single payer, you got to give me the end of the Federal Reserve. And I said, sure, I'll give you that.
That's fair.
So I'm trying to figure out, how do we find common ground on issues? Because listen, I'm catching the chat. I know what they're saying, but we have to live in the real world. People do not agree on everything. So where is that common ground? What could we do to actually help facilitate this? Because in the end, you have a rich oligarchic class and then you have everybody else. This isn't like, oh, this faction here, that faction there. No, it's basically the 99 versus the 1. And so how can we put these differences aside and make things happen? To me, that would be one example of, are you willing to concede that the option of healthcare is probably best suited for a single payer system where we remove the for-profit middlemen, where we take away the power of big pharma, as we learned during COVID, that if you can remove Aetna, Cigna, United, etc., if you take away the power of Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, etc., and you go to a system where you have the single payer, the doctors get to make whatever they want, the nurses can make whatever they want, but we do not have a system that is predicated on people being able to have for-profit middlemen screw us over left and right. If you take that component and then you add in the component of, we have devalued the dollar forever, and if we took out the Federal Reserve, I'm not saying it's the gold standard, it's the answer, but whatever it may be, it's better than what we have now. And so can we find common ground there? I'd like to think we can. And it sounds like you might be agreeable to that as well.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I know I'm a mother of 3, and I pay probably $1,300 a month for health insurance, just out of pocket. And it doesn't cover anything. I mean, it's like, what am I even paying for?
You're paying for them to live a big, fat, health, exceptional life. That's what you're paying for.
No, I had to have an ultrasound done for something. And the woman is like, it's going to cost you this much in your insurance, or it's going to cost you this much if you don't use insurance. And it was cheaper. It was cheaper to not use insurance on the ultrasound. And I was like, what is this system? What's going on? You know, what it does, it pretty much says, okay, you have a $50 copay for your children's health exams, like your well care exams. And after that, it's like, I don't know what I'm paying for. I have no idea. It doesn't cover anything.
And this is why Luigi is going to walk in any event. But the thing to me, when I think about immigration, the kinds of things that would really solve the problem, if we had a living wage in this country so that all workers actually made a living wage, okay, so we have a living wage. If we would stop interfering and cooing other countries so that their people would have to escape and have some place to go. So, I mean, there's definitely definitive ways we could solve the immigration crisis. But to me, at the end of the day, it's how we treat fellow human beings. And again, I go back to what I said about Davos. If you're not invited to that, you're in the same club. So those people that are coming across the border, they're in our club because we have infinitely more in common with them than the people that are in charge of what's going on. And this is a global thing to me. It's a global thing, and it's how we treat people in general. And I don't believe in making walls between people that are just made up places. I don't believe immigrants get stuff. In fact, every person I've met here that hasn't had papers has worked harder, paid taxes because they have to use someone else's number to be able to do what they're doing, and they don't get shit. So I hear people all the time saying 2 things. 1, they're taking all our jobs. And 2, they're coming here and not working and living for free. Well, what is it? Are they taking all of our jobs, or are they just coming here and living for free? Because every person I have met that is undocumented is somebody that is one of the hardest working people that are just trying to escape a life of oppression and poverty that in 95% of the cases our country has caused. So I find it like if we just paid people and treated them better, but people that come here illegally don't get benefits. They don't get benefits. They pay taxes, but they don't get benefits. They don't get health care. And that does not mean that, no, they can't go to an emergency room. Most of them won't because they're scared of being kicked out and deported. So I don't know what benefits that people here who are undocumented get, because the people that I know that are undocumented would love to have some benefits since they're paying for them anyway. That's what I know of. So I don't know who all the people are that are undocumented getting benefits. I have not met them.
Where do you live?
South Florida.
South Florida. Okay.
Oh,
I live in Florida too. I lived in Massachusetts. So your experience is based in Florida's politics, not in Massachusetts politics, where this does happen. So in Massachusetts, where I lived, I grew up in Western Massachusetts. Okay. So there's the Berkshires, Western Massachusetts, Central Massachusetts, the Boston area, and Cape Cod. So I was over here, kind of where New Hampshire and Vermont touch Massachusetts. It's kind of where I grew up. So in my town, or in my area, in my little county I grew up in the area, there were 3 hotels. Okay. 3 hotels. There's one now because the other ones are overflowing with migrants. They've turned into migrant hotels. Would you call that a benefit, free housing for people who come here? Would that be beneficial?
Well, I actually think we should be putting housing for people to actually come and live in. So I don't, I guess it is, but I don't have a problem with people having housing. So that's not a thing for me. So the benefits that they get come from a state level. So you can look up Massachusetts and everything going on when it comes to my experience is Massachusetts. I'm not having that experience in Florida, but I had it in Massachusetts. So I'm sorry, kitten. So, so this is me telling you about Massachusetts. And then you can look up the amount that the taxpayers pay for migrants in particular in Massachusetts. Okay, and what are they doing there, though? They're not just hanging out in hotel rooms, right? So what are they doing there? How are they living there?
Hanging out in hotel rooms. I do know that there are some that do the farms. There are farms in the Western Massachusetts area, so they'll do farm work and that sort of thing. I think it's interesting that it's kind of like people have been bringing migrants into our country to work on farms for a very long time, and not in the most honest way, since,
because we don't pay a living wage, because we don't pay living wages, and they can't get people to do that work.
Do you know what the minimum wage was before they got rid of the gold standard? It was $1.25. Okay, that was 5 silver quarters, which to the equivalent of 5 silver quarters now would be maybe $17, $18. So the money got messed up. So they switched over to this fiat currency, which is backed by war. Essentially, it's backed by our word and it's backed by war. There's no intrinsic value to our money whatsoever. And that now they're like, they can inflate it as much as they want. They can, when they inflate it, they depreciate it. But there's nothing backing it up. So we had the equivalent of what would be a living wage. We had the $17 equivalent in 1970 or whenever that was. And that's gone now. So we have to fix the money. If we want a living wage, we can, what's a living wage? $15, $30?
No,
$50?
it varies based on where you are. It's based on your cost of living. It's just like anywhere else. Right.
Okay. All right. So there's a place to start. So what would a living wage be? Like
a living wage is where a person can spend a quarter of their income and afford decent housing.
Yes.
Whatever that is, like basic housing. So, even if you're going to say 1 person, 1 bedroom, 1 bath place. So where somebody is spending a quarter of their income working a full-time work week on their housing, I would consider that a living wage. There's nowhere in this country where that can happen.
Yes. So that's fair. I agree with that. But I agree that the way to do that is that we have to get rid of the Federal Reserve, and we have to, I mean, I only know the gold standard. I don't know what else you could possibly have in place of a gold standard. So I would want to go back to something like the gold standard. I just don't know if we have enough money to make, or if we have enough gold to make the gold standard work now. You know, that's the issue. But fiat currency is not working. So I think that's why they're looking into cryptos and Bitcoin and that sort of thing.
Josie, where do you stand on a policy like tuition-free trade schools and more or less what the necessities are? To me, I thought that, you know, when Bernie ran the first time, I thought he ran a very solid populist left campaign, much better than obviously what he did the second go around. But it was something that I think Trump also borrowed from in a number of ways. And to me, if we had a system where we actually paid people to become skilled at jobs that are actually needed, I think that would tremendously help the economy in a big way. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I went to trade school. I'm a neuromuscular therapist by trade before I started doing whatever this is. So essentially I'm a millennial. So I was in school during the time where they told you had to go to college, right? You either had to go into the military or go to college. And those were your choices. If you wanted to be a mother, if you wanted to not do that, that wasn't acceptable. Everybody went to college. Or you went to the military, and those were really the choices that you gave, but they really didn't put a lot of anything into trade schools. That wasn't anything you did. The people I know who did trades all went to like the technical school in the area, and then they graduated with their trade and they just went on and did their trade. And now we see that there's kind of a shortage of people in trades because that wasn't really popularized for a very long time, probably like 10, 15 years. They didn't push trades at all. And now we're seeing the result of that. So I think that that's something that would be beneficial. That's something that would be helpful. That's something that helps, that pays very well. A master carpenter, oh my goodness, electrician, a plumber, those jobs pay incredibly well. But
do masonry, do a whole bunch of different things. If you know how to work in a body shop, I mean, to me, it's the lost art of working with your hands. We've become way too much of a digitized society. I'm in commercial real estate. Jen is an extremely gifted crafter as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
What do you craft?
I do a lot of different things. I either work with dried flowers and resin. Sometimes I do a lot of paper collage. I redo, turn suitcases into ottomans. I do like a mixture. But I was going to tell you, Peter, speaking of trades. So my younger son, I have two boys, is actually at this point contemplating learning watchmaking. And like I forget what it's called. It's like, it begins with an H, where it's like you learn watches and clocks and you could get Rolex certified and all this stuff. Right.
Very
and
cool.
Yeah, he's considering doing that because college is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, I absolutely understand that.
College from my experience. And I went to Rutgers University.
Yeah. Whatever.
Well, I mean, our founding fathers, for instance, John Adams, went to Harvard. He went there for like 2 or 3 years, and then he did an apprenticeship. That's what college used to be.
I think that college, regardless of whether you're going to an Ivy school or a state college or even a JUCO, it's all about what are you going there for? Like, to me, I think college is great if you're going there with purpose. I think if it's a field of study that requires a degree,
that's it.
It is
horology. It's kind of unfortunate that it's called horology, but yeah.
Well, now we're never going to forget what it's called because it's called horology.
But it's watchmaking and fixing watches and clocks and that stuff.
And like I said, I think these conversations are very important because the one thing we've learned over the past several years, especially in the Trump, even Bernie era, is that everyone wants to be in their niche groups and not talk about hard issues. I think it is imperative that we talk about these hard issues. Let's conclude the conversation with an issue that I have no doubt that we agree upon. What is going on in Venezuela right now is absolutely insane, and it is all predicated on the military-industrial complex. And as Jen, as you've pointed out, If it doesn't work in Venezuela, we're already seeing early remnants that this is going to transition over to Taiwan. It is pretty obvious.
Right. Have you seen that? Have you seen that he just slid that little money to Taiwan, sent weapons to Taiwan?
Yep. I did see that. I went through I read through the articles and I went through sort of what's going on with that situation. Don't agree with any of it. I think that war is too often used to prop up the economy. When it comes to Venezuela, we're seeing he's doing acts of war on them, but Trump is very good at doing acts of war, but not getting us into war. So he did that with Iran when he bombed the nuclear facilities. He's doing it again with this blockade. So I'm hoping it doesn't turn into anything bigger than it is. I'm worried that with Maduro, it's going to turn into a situation kind of like in Libya, where they take out the guy who thinks he's the leader and in a very bad, ugly, dirty way. I hope that doesn't happen because nobody wants to see that happen. But when it comes to Taiwan, what happens? So there's the $11.1 billion in weapons that Taiwan's going to give us this money. And so what happens? Their government gives our government this money, and our government makes deals with the contractors in America to give them the weapons based on the agreement that they reached. I think Congress has to pass the agreement as well. So they're trying to like stabilize that. They're doing all the same neocon excuses for why they do it in the first place. We want to stabilize the area and make them a very scary military and this and that. But when it comes to war creates widespread destruction. It creates inflation. It's population decline, supply chain interruptions. And the people who pay for it is us. It's the taxpayers who pay for it. It's the soldiers who pay for it. It's horrific. And
yes, but did you stop to think that maybe the stockholders at Lockheed Martin need to make money too?
Exactly. So there's a very small group of people who profit from this. And those are the lobbyists. Those are the politicians. Those are the insider traders. Those are the people that are going to benefit from this. So yeah, it's really great for them. It's great for the investors. It's great for Lockheed Martin and Palantir. That's another one because everything it's all AI and yep.
If there is a multinational corporation that is exactly what was written about in 1984, it is Palantir. They embody it completely. And what I think is important to note here, we are a country that, in terms of our military, we have a lot of technology, but we don't exactly have the type of ground and pound invaders that we like to pretend that we have. And so while everyone was focused on what Trump was going to say last night, Maduro was saying this.
Y lo que ha sucedido el día de ayer y hoy, cuando el gobierno de los Estados Unidos dice que le pertenecen a ellos y que los venezolanos le robamos el petróleo. O sea, que el petróleo venezolano le pertenece a ellos. Que los minerales venezolanos, el oro y todos los minerales le pertenecen a ellos. Y lo que nunca habíamos escuchado, que las tierras de Venezuela le pertenecen a ellos y se lo tenemos que devolver de manera inmediata.
One thing I want to point out here, and I know, Jen, you have a thought on this.
I have thoughts.
Well, why don't you share your thoughts first?
Okay, first of all, that's definite, right? That is perfect symbol. Like, that's caucasity. You know how you don't always know what caucasity is? Trump putting out a statement that somehow they stole something from us, that theirs is what's our, like, he's deranged. He sounds deranged. And, I just think that what he's referring to, if people don't know what Trump's referring to, they're wondering, how could Venezuela have stolen our land and our oil? How is that possible? What he's referring to is when Hugo Chavez was elected in, democratically elected, mind you, back in whatever early 2000s, whenever that was. And he terminated the contracts with American oil companies and kicked them out because we were doing what we do, because we're basically parasites and we go and like little succubi on everybody's resources. And he wanted his resources to be for his people. Okay. So they ended their contracts with our corporations. It wasn't like it was for us, the people. Keep that in mind. Trump's not going to take that oil for us, the people, even if we did like that. It's for the corporations to then screw us and rape us and profit off of us. But Maduro is responding to this ridiculous concept that by them kicking us out of their country and not allowing us to use them, somehow that's stealing our oil. Like, you can't make this shit up. This is insane.
I just like that we're living in a time where there's no more propaganda. It doesn't really work. So rather than saying, "Oh, we're totally," listen, Josie, we're totally stopping the drugs from coming into our country. They're really terrible people, and it's like, no, we're totally going to steal their oil. That's what we're doing. Hey, listen, you know what? Like you said, Jen, he's the most honest liar we've ever seen. So just let it fly. But the problem is that the American people are a little too hip to what's going on now. On top of the fact that it has the largest crude oil supply in the world, 25% of the crude oil is under Venezuela's soil. So on the one hand, you're trying to steal their resources. We don't even live in a country where we have some benevolent dictator that wants these resources to be shared by the people at large. It's basically for a very select group few of people to take advantage of that. And then, as you've alluded to, if anybody who is, whether they're libertarian or conservative in general, and immigration is a big issue for you, this should make you stop dead in your tracks. Because what this is going to create in South America, it's going to be very easy for them to find their way to the United States. So your thoughts so far, what Maduro is saying?
I think that there's some foreshadowing of what's to come. I think that we've seen this. We've seen this playbook before. It's unfolding. And, you know, Trump's like, we're not going to get into war. We're not going to get into war. Oh, no, their drug boats are coming here. We got to stop the drugs from getting into here. We got to stop them. Oh, we just blew them up. Now it's like, oh, we got to get. He keeps encroaching closer and closer into Venezuela to the point where they're like pretty much surrounded now by U.S. You know, they got the naval blockade. It feels like. And then we have also Brazil and Mexico are trying to be like, whoa, we got it. This can't happen, you guys. You know, like I think Brazil is trying to get in and negotiate for us, and Mexico is trying to get the UN in, and it's just it's chaos. And I don't know if it's like there's an imminent war coming. It's hard to say because of Trump's history and making sure that there is no imminent war. I don't know if he just wants them to surrender, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen. So yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah. All right. He's got a little bit more to say.
Sencillamente es una pretensión guerrerista y colonialista. Y lo hemos dicho bastante y ya todo el mundo ve la verdad. La verdad ha sido develada. Se pretende en Venezuela un cambio de régimen para imponer un gobierno títere que no duraría ni 47 horas, que llegue a entregarle la Constitución, la soberanía y toda la riqueza y convierta a Venezuela en una colonia. Sencillamente eso no va a pasar. Nunca, jamás. Never, never in the life. Venezuela será colonia de nada, de nadie, jamás.
Word. And this is where people are in, I think, in higher up places in this country are not understanding. Venezuela is not Panama. It's not Iraq. It's not those things. It's not even Libya. Okay. What you're going to be looking at is something larger in scale than Vietnam, in jungles with a completely armed population that will fight back. And the thing about Venezuela is whether they did or don't like Maduro, they will all fight against us. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter what team they're on there. I mean, this is why at the end of the day, I think for what's her face, Guaido too, what's her, Maria Conchata, whatever, Maria, what's her name? Coronavirus, Corona, yeah, what's her name? Whatever. It's going to end very badly for her. Because they are a smaller opposition. The majority of people in that country do support Maduro. He was democratically elected. And so at the end of the day, when this all goes badly, and it will go badly, people like her, it's not going to end well in her own country by her own people. That's what I think is going to happen.
Well, not only that, but you're also facing a situation here where the average American's looking at this and saying, "Oh, this is just it's war profit. It's oil for the multinational corporations. There's no other reason for this. This is not something where Venezuela is in any way, shape, or form a threat to the United States and its sovereignty. This is all about controlling the Western Hemisphere because we are losing control on the global stage in the Eastern Hemisphere through BRICS. And so this becomes, well, let's see how many resources we get a hold of here, because it's not just oil that Venezuela has. It's a very rich natural resource country. But you've got the abuelas out there with the AR-15s basically saying, oh, yeah, you just try and come into our country.
Oh.
They're telling you right there, this is just like we had the militias take up arms to deal with the British in that very lovely wooden plaque right over your shoulder. Well, when people were coming to our country and trying to tell us how to live, we had militias popping up everywhere saying whether or not the standing army of the United States is going to fight off the redcoats, we will have our own people that are going to do it as well. And in Venezuela, they're saying the exact same thing. I don't know what the Venezuelan army is going to do, but I know me as a Venezuelan in this country, I'll bear arms 1,000% against anyone who tries to invade our country. That's serious business right there, of which it would require a draft in this country.
Yes.
To deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was only 20% of the colonists were for the war. 80% were loyalists. So, I mean, there were very strong areas where there were, like in Massachusetts, there was way more than there were in,
The South.
Yeah, than there were in the South. That's just the way that it was. So the way that they're selling this war to the people is they're saying fentanyl. Fentanyl is the number one killer of people from 18 to 49. Fentanyl.
Yeah.
So that's how they're selling it, because everybody knows somebody who died or who almost died of fentanyl overdose. And so that's how they're like, well, these are the people. We're going to get them. We're going to go get them.
But the fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela. That's the thing.
I know that. You know
Right.
that. But, anybody sitting on a, just the armchair, whatever, people listening to CNN, they have no idea. They're just told, oh, that's where the fentanyl came from. Oh, and look at that. Then they're showing these drug boats being blown up. Well, what other drugs could possibly be on that boat except for fentanyl? This is just a very
just due process is just we don't care, right? We don't care, and we don't care that it's not in our waters, right? Like if it was in our waters and there were boats coming in our waters that they don't report themselves or whatever, yeah, then that's what you're supposed to be defending. You go into someone else's water because you want to interfere with their oil to Cuba or their oil to China, because that's what we're really trying to interfere with. But I could, if they want to go after the people that are largely responsible for like real drug issues in this country, then they need to convict the Sackler family. Let them go after the Sackler family. I saw somebody in the chat mention them, but that's what I was thinking. They don't want to go after, they don't care about drugs in this country, not even a little bit.
No, they're exploiting people's pain to get them to back a war that has to do with oil and empire and minerals. That's what they're doing.
And another key issue that progressives and libertarians 100% agree on is drugs. If it's your own person and you choose that this is the path that you want, you don't need the government telling you, oh, you want to smoke, you can't smoke cannabis. But that is so beyond the pale now, because if anybody knows the history of drug regulation in the United States, it was all based on big pharma, all across the board. This all started with Rockefeller, and it's been this way for about 150 years. It's all about money and power. But then again, that's pretty much all anything is ever really about. And that is why in an issue like civil liberties, an issue like endless war, and an issue like how do we get back to a more efficient economy that actually cares about its citizens. I think there is a tremendous amount of crossover, even though there are disagreements. But I think the fact that you were willing to come on tonight and have this conversation, I think is imperative when we think about what we're facing going forward. And as a fellow millennial, yeah, we were the first generation that didn't grow up with technology, but we were the first to really have it become a major sticking point in our lives. And now as a mother, both of you are mothers, and you look at your children and the fact that we are living in this technological age where once again, you're finding these titans of industry like Karp and Thiel at Palantir. They're using it all for bad. And it is imperative that we, the people, unite around those core principles that are good. Because if we don't, if you think the United States cannot fall as an empire, trust me, we can fall. They all have, and we're no different. The only way we don't is if we recognize where we're at right now, smash those brakes, figure out how to collaborate where we can, and find ways to get along rather than find ways to divide. Final thoughts before you go.
I think it's important to make these alliances for sure, because they try to pit us against each other. You know, the left, the right, the in-betweens. You know, that's your enemy, but really the enemy is the oligarchy, and it's the oligarchy versus us. And so once we see that, then we're able to, you have to kind of see the problem in order to fight the problem. So we also,
and the answer is not coming from electoral politics either. I could tell you that.
Not if the only, and again, the reason we know it isn't going to come from electoral politics is that when only 1 out of 535 federally elected representatives truly stand out above the rest, and there is nobody else like Massey, then you know you have a real problem. And the only way to fix it is, I hate to say it, but it's that R word. It's revolutionary change.
It is.
It's going to happen. That's what we're living through. Guys, all the links are going to be in the description for Josie. Please check out the Red-Headed Libertarian. Where can everybody find you on social media if they want to follow your work?
I am on x.com. I am TRHL official, the Red-Headed Libertarian. And then I do outside media work with Timcast. So you could always go to timcast.com and become a subscriber and help support our work over there.
It was nice to meet you. One more thing. I have this idea that nobody should pay taxes in 26. Like, just nobody should submit it. The people, I know that people get it taken out automatically. I get that. But I'm talking about anybody who doesn't. Let's talk about that. Nobody should pay these people, because I don't know who they're representing, but it sure as shit ain't me.
No. And they print off any money that they need. Okay. And we know the money is nothing. It means nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't mean, well, it's based on an AI bubble right now. It means nothing.
So they're just taking our nothing and using it for their whatever. And yeah,
right.
If you print it, then just print it and leave me alone.
Right. No taxes.
Yeah. No taxes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, I have no complaints.
Okay. So you would go on a tax. You would boycott the taxes if you know, like.
If I knew I wasn't going to go to jail for 20 years. I mean, your shift's father, tried to do this and it didn't turn out well. So
no.
Yeah. It's like, there's some things that I have to do just to, so you don't go to jail, because I love my kids.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Responsibilities. Josie, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll be in touch.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Bye.
So despite the differences, I still think that was fun.
The only reason I haven't been arrested yet is because of my kids.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because as long as I had my kids living at home, there's a lot of stuff that I would not participate in and not do because I wouldn't risk getting arrested. But now that they're not in the house, I have less give a shit about that. So I understand where she's coming from.
Yes, I would imagine so. And I hope but despite the differences, that in the end, we did have a decent conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I'm never gonna want to punch down. And when you go after, and by the way, and somebody had pointed this out in the chat, but I didn't realize this. So the people to whom she's referring to that were given hotel rooms were not undocumented. Those are not undocumented people. If they were undocumented, how could they have gotten hotel rooms? Undocumented means that nobody knows you're here. If somebody gives you a hotel room, then you're here for whatever your visa is or whatever it is. But that premise of like, we should have policy based on a bleeding heart state like Massachusetts giving hotel rooms to migrants.
Yeah. Well, I also think that, to be fair, and I think Josie is actually a very smart lady, and I think she definitely knows her shit. But when you are in the Tim Pool echo chamber and you basically have a media sphere that is capable of finding every single negative immigrant or migrant story that is in the negative light, when it could be in the hundreds, if not thousands, it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy of, well, it's all bad and we might as well just get rid of everybody. Whereas identifying the crisis problem, which is we have multinational corporations that, as I said, would rather us just be slaves than to give us anything, is a huge dividing line. But I think that there were some salient points that you made that resonated with her.
I don't know, but this is important to me. Shunt guy, undocumented is just soft word for illegal. I agree. I don't believe anybody would be undocumented. I don't believe people can be undocumented or illegal. Both of those words, all of that is so abhorrent to me, because I don't understand why we even need walls. The walls don't keep us safe. They don't keep us safe because the majority of harm comes from people from within inside the walls. And then let's say hypothetically that some of the people from outside the walls are the problem. The walls are not what's keeping us safe. Most of those people come in completely legally, right? So it's just so irrational. And I don't understand why anybody cares who comes to live here as long as they're just contributing. Who cares? Unless you're a citizen, you're not going to get to vote. But if you're working, why should you not be doing well here? Why should you not be able to live here? I don't understand.
One thing I would say is that if you're really measuring criminals in this country, the Sackler family, like you brought up, those are real criminals. Those are people that,
the Vanity Fair photo shoot was a whole bunch of criminals. You want me to get that back up? Because I could show you a whole slew of criminals right there.
I don't know what's going on with the live stream tonight, but apparently a lot of you guys hate us for some reason because we've only got like 275 of you.
No, Sabby's live tonight. Sabby was live tonight. There were a few people that were live tonight. I don't think it's that.
Fair enough. But with that said, and David Hunter, I appreciate that because David Hunter's one of our OGs. The conversation was great. However, all around, we have to take people where they are. And I agree 1,000%. The fact that Josie, the redheaded libertarian, came on our channel and said, you know what? Single payer healthcare makes a lot of sense. You know what? Tuition-free public college and trade schools, it makes a lot of sense. Guys, we cannot run away from these conversations because you never know who we might be converting.
Okay, I don't know who this guy's talking to. If you were alive in 75, hello, Gen X, then you'd understand perfectly because there was just 200 million people as opposed to 350 million. I don't see what that makes me understand.
I don't understand.
We have enough room in this country to fit every single person in the world.
That's true.
Okay. Well, so it has nothing to do. I don't know what that means.
Well, hold on. That's based on geography, which I understand. But in terms of, if we're talking about the basics of being able to live and not be on top of each other, in terms of space in the United States, we could have 1 billion people in the United States easily. So
exactly.
That doesn't mean that I want 1 billion people here. No. Trust me, I don't.
Oh.
But I'm just saying that's an example of a sort of a misnomer. What we have is an austerity-driven system that concentrates the wealth in the hands of the few. Now, on the basis of a regular capitalist system with no guardrails, it's supposed to be an 80-20 split, and that's without guardrails. We do not have an 80-20 system. In fact, I'd be surprised if the system today was even 90-10, in which 10% of the people who live here are truly benefiting from the system and 90% are suffering from it, whether just getting by, slightly getting by, or even have any money in the bank. Trust me when I tell you, it's the system. It's broken, or as you like to say, it's working as it's intended to work. But I would go so far as to say that it isn't actually working as it's intended because the people who are controlling the levers of power now want to see people suffer. They actually revel in the idea of not doing anything to help the masses. We have had leaders in this country for many a generation, going all the way back to our founding, in which you had people who truly cared about the average person. We don't have that now. We had an opportunity to put a stopgap to it a decade ago, but the Democratic Party, led by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, decided, no, you can't have Bernie Sanders. We're going to rig it and you will accept the consequences. The fact that we have not drawn and quartered people, I mean this, the fact that that hasn't happened in this country shows we're not fully ready for the revolution yet because we're still being run by animals. That's who we're being run by. But the difference is when the GOP has these psychopaths in power, it's easier to notice how bad this thing really is.
I wanted to say, when we talk about the things that are wrong in this country in terms of how people are living and how people are struggling, none of that, and I mean none of that, is because of the immigrants, legal or illegal, none of it. And so when you want to be looking at blaming the immigrants and building a wall and all that stuff, all of those things are distractions and talking points to get people to punch down and not look at what the real problem is. And it has worked very effectively for many years, as we saw by Josie, because she believes that, like, and you somehow people believe that we got to be harder on immigration. That doesn't help us in any way, and it hurts them. So I don't understand. That is what I don't understand. So you tell me, yeah, I understand our population has grown. It's grown all over the world. I get it. And we have enough resources and we have the capability to take care of those people. We do. So again, the amount of people is not the problem. The immigrants are not the problem.
Well, hold on a minute. I wouldn't go so far as saying that, because what the multinational corporations have done to contaminate the air and to poison our water, yes, I would say that we do have finite resources in which the amount of people they wouldn't be able to have it, or if they did, are going to be poisoned by it.
Yes, but that's a global thing. Okay, that's a global thing. We all have finite resources. But when you talk about what side of a line that somebody lives on, yes, it's safe to come back now. When you're talking about what side of an imaginary line that somebody gets to live on based on where they were born, right? That person is not entitled to any less water or air or resources because of what side of the line they were born on. And when you talk about borders and walls, you're missing the fucking point. The point is what I was saying to Josie, okay? All of the regular people all around the world, on all the continents, all the regular people, we are in the same group, okay? And the wall doesn't make you in a different group. What makes you in a different group is that you are not the person in charge of all this shit. So we have more in common with the people that are coming over through the wall than we do with the people that are wanting to teach us to punch down against those people.
I agree.
So I'm never going to be on with this.
Well, for those that are here and still here, we want to give a big shout out. We have, one thing that we have noticed that has definitely changed since our channel has grown is we have gotten a plethora of new contributors to the channel. And we now have 5, count them, 5, just in this live stream alone, new YouTube members. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Right off the bat, much appreciated. C.S. Coolidge, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. And that looks like quite the historic photo that you have in your profile. I can't tell when it's from, but it definitely looks like it's from yesteryear, quite a ways back. Very cool. Conjure Up, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I like that, Jen. That's a pretty sharp beard, I got to say.
It's a nice beard.
Yeah,
it's a really nice beard. Yeah.
Gotta have respect for the beard. That's definitely one thing because I can't grow one. I'm still like a 15.
No, he's like peach fuzz.
I'll take it as long as I can get it. Cloud Chopper, thank you for becoming a YouTube member, and that is the cutest profile picture ever. A cadre of kittens. I mean, come on now, look at how cute they are.
A gaggle.
A gaggle of kittens. How many do we have? We got 4. I'm counting 4 in that picture. Very, very cute. One step ahead. Thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. Really appreciate it. Libertarian Social Democrat, thank you for the $1.99. What is your take on Senator Tuberville? One up Randy Fine. I think Senator Tuberville is a douche canoe of the highest order, and I am a stone's throw away from the Alabama border. So believe me when I tell you, Tommy Tuberville is a U.S. Senator because he was a college football coach in Alabama. That is the only reason he's in the Senate. He's as dumb as a box of rocks. He doesn't belong there. But hey, Tuberville, it's like royalty in the state of Alabama. So you know what? If there's one thing we know for certain, is creates a huge impact when it comes to who wins elections in the United States. One of the most tried and true measurements of political success is name ID. If people know who you are and they're familiar with who you are, people are going to vote for you in many cases because, oh, I know Coach Tuberville. Yeah, he was a great coach. I'm going to vote for him, Jen. Isn't that a great measurement?
That's what all of you sporty game guys do. You just like the sporty game guys.
Well, let's hear what a very intelligent supporter of our channel has to say. Willie with the $10. Till death do us part from the UK, inspired all in the family. Anthony Booth, who played the leftist son-in-law of Alf Garnett, was the real-life father-in-law of Tony Blair.
That's interesting, huh?
Tony Booth hated Tony Blair. Well,
so in other words, the real-life father-in-law of Tony Blair played the meathead character in the UK British version of, which was what Norman Lear based it on.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Guys, if you're not, check out Willie Bragg's show.
Subscribe. He just passed 1,000 subscribers, so get in there and give him some love.
Yes.
Libertarian Social Democrat with the 199. Wahajid Ali, Wajahad Ali, woke anti-whiteness is bad for the cause. Listen, anything based on race, creed, color, any of that shit, and especially if it's anti-white, to hell with that shit. It's not a question of a person being white. It's a question of who is in control. Now, granted, the majority of the oligarchic ruling class happens to be old white men.
That's not what he should. They're referring to me saying caucasity. And I want to be very clear about that. That's what I think they're referring to.
Perhaps.
So when I say caucasity, it isn't necessarily just white people. It's just sort of the Western hegemony. It's that the Western people, the paler skinned people, the lighter people are the more advanced people and know the way. And so let us explain to you, the darker people, what you need to do. And oftentimes Black people speak with caucasity. They have their people like Jim Clyburn. I hear it from those people all the time, you know? And so, but no, it isn't anti-whiteness. It's when I say caucasity, yes, it does refer to people from the Caucasus, but it's a mentality of that the Northern Hemisphere is superior to the Southern Hemisphere. And when people speak down in that manner, that's caucasity. It's usually global, not person to person, where it really is a white thing. It's more of a Western hegemony thing.
Did you know that there is a substantially larger population in the world in the Southern Hemisphere than in the Northern Hemisphere? I don't know,
yes.
Know that, but that's a fact. Jerry Swallow, thank you for checking in with the 2 Canadian A, 100K. Great. Hey, listen, we're at 101K, my friend. We're moving up in the world. No opinion with that. Well,
great.
We like your opinion, though, with the $5. Cheers to 100K again. 101K. You're a little slow. Appreciate you, my friend. Jim Talib always checking in with the $5. Appreciate you, my friend. Wanker Tanker, great to see you. Thank you for the $5. It was once not legal for one corp to own another. Correct. We actually have laws in place that prevent the merging of multinational corporations, but as we know, we don't follow the Sherman Antitrust Act or anything else. What the hell's the point?
And we fire people like Lena Khan. So
we should make it so again. Poclat, or however I guess that's supposed to be, move to amend Jane Ann Morris Corpse for the 7th generation. Hey, that's the type of deregulation that we do need. Big girls don't cry with the 1999. Jen, my girl, speak.
Thank you, friend.
She wants one more. $9.99. I call this night school.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. And I don't know. See, when we don't like to do super chats when we're in the middle of a conversation, but then when we get to them, I'm not always sure what they're referencing because a lot of times people put them in. But I think that they're talking about me explaining something.
You're offering an educational.
I think they meant to her. I think
that matters a lot. Carson Cruz with the $10. If you can't win the Nobel Prize rename the Kennedy Center. The board members voted unanimously. RFK Jr. was not on the voting board that included Pam Bondi. First name on a renamed center?
I don't know what it means by first name on it, but are you saying that they're going to start calling it the Trump Center?
Maybe they're going to rename the Kennedy Center.
The Trump Center.
Listen, I'm going to put my name on everything, so there's no way they can forget that I was president.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't hear that, but it doesn't surprise me.
No, I heard they were talking about potentially doing that. Fucking nuts. Libertarian Social Democrat with the 199. Please get inclusive libertarians like Joe Jorgensen on. Happy to.
Who
Joe
is that?
Jorgensen,
And what does that mean, an inclusive libertarian?
Joe Jorgensen is the lady who ran for president on the Libertarian ticket in 2020. She's actually someone whose vote share in the state of Wisconsin was so big that it actually probably cost Trump the state in terms of the vote. Biden ended up winning Wisconsin as a result. So yeah.
But what constitutes? I'm just trying to understand what you mean by an inclusive libertarian versus a non-inclusive. Would that be an exclusive?
Listen, Josie clearly is what you would consider a right-leaning libertarian, but that doesn't mean that we didn't find common ground. And I think it's imperative that whether Joe Jorgensen is more of a middle of the road libertarian, whatever it is. I mean, like I said, whatever is going to allow us to cross-pollinate and collaborate with more people to build this revolutionary change coalition, that's what we have to do. And Tony D with the $2, just saw him in Spinal Tap 2 3 months ago. Yeah. It is it is obviously terrible what happened.
That's horrifying.
Horrifying.
And their daughter found them. Well, she found him and ran out before she even realized her mom was dead too. But she found him like that.
Yeah.
And her brother did it. Like that's horrible.
Her
like,
life,
it's horrible.
Her life is over.
Her life is like ruined.
Yeah, ruined. So,
and there's another brother. I mean, there's 3 kids, but just fucking horrible. I mean, and then the first person she ran out of the house and called Billy Crystal, and he came over. And there was footage of him like walking out of the house at some point.
Yeah,
with his
probably best friends. So yeah, I can imagine. Hamburger 1975 with the $5. It's Friday night. Daddy's home. Phone in the junk drawer. Shabbat shalom. Erica Kirk is never going to live down that Shabbat shalom comment. Ever.
Well, it was just stupid. It was just stupid. And okay, so inclusive meaning that be more welcoming to non-white people. Okay, I understand.
Yeah. Add an official 42 with the 499. Thank you so much for giving me this honor and respect on my birthday month. Thank you for making my dreams come true. America first forever. Thank you, Adnan. Appreciate.
Thanks, Adnan. Adnan.
Yeah, I think he became an official citizen. Well, congratulations and happy to have you here, my friend.
Yes.
One more time, guys, patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty and growing channel. We appreciate you all.
Why do people think Abby Martin's coming on?
Well, we are trying to get her on the schedule.
Oh, I'd love to get her on, but no, I mean tonight. Like someone's like, "What time is she?" I'm like, I don't know why anybody thinks Abby Martin is coming on. Abby Martin. I mean, we'd love. Abby Martin is currently on a tour of screenings for her new movie that she put out, which is oh God, I know it. It's I cannot believe I'm drawing a blank. It's oh my God. Anywho, guys, Abby Martin does have a new movie that's being screened all around the country. And if you're somewhere where it's happening, you should definitely go check it out. The Earth's Greatest Enemy. There it is. Earth's Greatest Enemy. But yeah. No, Abby's the real shit, man. She's the good shit.
So I want people to remember that as much as we try every day to bring attention to what's going on in Gaza, how quickly we have forgotten that despite what the Zios and Western hegemony would have you believe, This was once a thriving part of the world, even though it was under heavy suppression. You don't have such an advanced, highly educated population and think that everyone who lives there is just some basement dweller praying 5 times a day, making it seem like Islam is the worst religion in the world. You know, somebody was standing outside of Mar-a-Lago, I think it was the other day, or outside the, I don't know if it might have been the White House. And you know what sign they were holding up? No Muslims on the Epstein list. And remember,
It's a valid point.
And remember, tomorrow, the Epstein list is supposed to be released unredacted. We'll see what happens. I'll believe it when I see it. But I'm going to play for you guys. We're going to play for you guys a clip from Gaza that is going to show you exactly what this place looked like prior to October 7th. That it wasn't just some random place in the Middle East that didn't bloom, as we've talked about before, but that it's actually a place that was doing just fine. In fact, it was doing very well for quite some time. And as I've said, whether it's because of the natural resources that are there, a lady by the name of Salma Shawa, she and her family lived in the Gaza Strip. And this was her capturing life in Gaza prior to October 7th. Hold on. Sorry, I paused it there. That is, and this is 2021, guys. This isn't after October 7th.
No.
They've been fighting for their freedom forever.
Yeah.
If you've never had this food, it was actually one of the most enduring parts of Jen's congressional run, was being amongst multiple cultures, not just Palestinian, Turkish, Pakistani, but all
Egyptian.
Egyptian. If you've never had Mediterranean food, Middle Eastern Mediterranean food,
It's not the Middle East. It's West Asia.
West Asia. Yes, Jen.
It's
But
actually, I'm at the point now where Europe doesn't even get to be a continent. It's Eurasia. It's all connected. Why is every continent separated except Europe and they just get to be their own continent? You're connected. You're Eurasia. Sick of that shit.
But these are just regular people. These are regular people living regular lives. This is not backwards people covering their eyes so that they can't see anything, like women are not allowed to live. This is Gaza. People are allowed to live. Okay? These people are archaic in their belief system. Are there extremists within the Muslim faith? Absolutely. Have you been to a Hasidic Jewish community?
Have you been?
Have you been?
Oh, I've been to the Hasidic Jewish community. Not a fan. So the people that are the closest genetically to the people to the center of the universe, so like actual Semites and people from North Africa and the region, they're so far advanced, civilized beyond the Western world. Their people were doing calculus while our people were playing with sticks. Okay? And so the fact that we've completely erased that, abolished it, and whitewashed it for centuries doesn't make it not so. Okay. So, and yes, their food is delicious. And I don't like olives. Don't hate me, but I don't like olives.
I don't like green olives, but I love black olives.
I don't like any olives. I like olive oil. I like the people that grow the olives. I just don't want to eat the olives.
أي إشي بدك تحكيه احكيه. الوضع الاقتصادي هذا وضع.
This mosque no longer stands.
No. It was like centuries old.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's so infuriating. It's so infuriating.
You know, the one thing that doesn't get talked about enough, which I think you would agree on, is that when it comes to the truly religious Jews, like the religious Jews in New York that stand against the genocide,
Yeah.
you've often said that this colonial project by the Zio state, these people are not religious. They probably don't believe in anything.
No.
And I think there's a certain level of jealousy that they have towards people that are Muslim that truly embody their faith, that really do believe in something. When they see this, it like it strikes a chord at their not so pious heart, because they realize that they don't have the convictions of humanity the way that these people do. It
No.
incensed them.
It's always, this is just making me hungry, to be honest with you. Like, I feel like I'm watching an Anthony Bourdain video. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but, you know.
But remember, they bombed churches too. You know, it's
hospitals,
not just,
churches.
mosques, churches. Yeah. They bombed children. They've bombed probably close to 500,000 children. So yes, no one is ever going to forget this, and there will be a price to pay. It's happening now. Just like we bring the conversation full circle. You have Trump at the beginning saying, you know, we totally don't support Israel enough. No, Israel is just simply falling apart, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's inevitable.
It's evil.
It is evil, but
it's evil. That I can get with. Seafood I can get with.
Just
wait, I just have to show you this because I have to say I agree. Thank you, Murdog. Thank you. I should be commended for how politely I bit my tongue. Anyway, continue.
Most of these places that you see in this video, they don't exist anymore.
No, none of this exists anymore. None of this exists anymore. It is a giant, desolate pile of rubble with people in flooded tents that are freezing to death. That's what there is now.
واحد اثنين ثلاثة.
Right. That's the thing. There's no PTSD. There's no post-trauma. It's continuous trauma. These people have been continuously oppressed, traumatized, and massacred in plain sight since 1947.
This is why we fight the fight that we fight.
I'm so angry again.
So if anybody wants to know, you know, there was a time where we would talk about this nonstop, but it became a focal point of our lives. Even when our channel was getting maybe 40 to 50 viewers on a stream, we had maybe 15,000 subscribers. And this was just over 2 years ago. And we never stopped talking about this issue. And we won't. Because even if there is some semblance of justice that is coming, you can never replace or repair what has happened.
I wish I believed there would be justice.
Yes. And I will say this. It's a lot easier for history to just forget about people that come from war-torn or impoverished parts of the world, be perceived as being lesser than because they're not as educated. Make no mistake, the people of Gaza, these were well-educated, hardworking, incredible people. And over half that country, likely at this point, they're all dead. And there are generations of people. Who's to say? You know, we met tons of people from Gaza, met tons of people from the West Bank. You know, who's to say that there wasn't that astrophysicist out there that's going to help us deal with the future of space travel? Who's to say that one of them didn't have the cure for cancer had they been able to research more? Who's to say that they didn't have a right to live? And all the while, we as a nation have allowed this to continue because we haven't figured out how to come together. And if this channel does nothing else but wakes up enough of the population where we can start putting words into action, we'll see what happens when Jen and I go to DC in the spring. We'll see what we can what we can put together. Maybe we can get like a get-together of some kind and just continue to hash these ideas out. I even suggested to you earlier, maybe I need to draft some type of a Magna Carta.
I think that what people call that, friend, are manifestos. And no, I don't think you need to draft that. I'd be happy if you would like draft segments for the show. I'd be happy. I've never seen you. The only time I saw you draft something was when I hounded you for like months to draft something. So I don't see you drafting a manifesto.
Are you saying that I can't do it?
I didn't say you can't. I'm saying you won't. I'm not saying you couldn't do it. I'm saying you won't do it. That's what I'm saying. I
think you're challenging me.
I think that this is going to turn out just like Kramer building levels. But if you want to go with it, go with it. Well, the bet was that you won't do it. He said he won because he could do it. No. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying you won't do it. That's what I'm saying.
I don't have a choice. I'm going to have to do it.
If I believe this would be a good time for me to be a theist, I'd say, Lord, help us all. But anywho.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be, shall be, must be free. Period.
Yes. Well, okay. Until that happens, none of us are free. None of us are free until all of us are free. It's so simple. The people that don't understand that are the people that are keeping us perpetually chained to this shit. Because yeah, none of us are free until all of us are free. And that's not going to happen with people thinking that it's just a them problem.
Anthony, thank you for checking in. And Mr. Aguilar might very well be joining us on Monday. We'll get to that in a minute. Earth's Greatest Enemy. I've seen it 3 times in 3 cities on the tour. I highly recommend everyone see it. It's eye-opening.
I want to. It's not coming to near me, but at some point I know I'll be able to see it.
Well, Abby does amazing work, so it's definitely worth a watch either way. Add an official with the $4.99 again. Next year will be 19 years of me as a U.S. citizen. Very fortunate to integrate it in part of this great place in the world, but still struggling. We all are, brother. We all are. Well, just about anyway.
Again, yeah, unless you're not invited to the you know, to Davos.
Unless you're in the capital.
At some point, we should talk about what's going on with the East Wing, because apparently it's not going to. There's some weird stuff going on.
That's not working out as it planned. What a shock.
No.
Carson Cruz with the $10 to bring us home. Yes, Jen. Proposed rename subject to congressional approval, I hope, would be Trump Kennedy Center. List of appointees to the board is illuminating. Yeah. Yeah, he's like the clap. You're not getting rid of him. He's going to be around.
His stuff will be set on fire when he's gone.
Yeah, probably will. Yeah, probably.
A lot of that stuff will look good as rubble.
On Saturday night, I will cover the next incarnation of the Candace Erica saga.
Oh, it's the Candace Erica saga. Because I saw people in the chat surprised you weren't talking about it tonight, but people don't know that I just really don't want to.
No, but I think it's important to address where I actually am probably going to take the conversation on Saturday is the East Wing.
That's what I saw too.
The part of the story that I actually have not covered before, which I will do on Saturday, is I've never covered the history of Erica Kirk. Her parents, the work that she did. What country was she in?
Romania.
Romania. Yeah. Oh,
where they asked them to leave for child trafficking. So no, the thing I think about, somebody said something about the East Wing. My thing about what's going on in the East Wing is, one, there's legal issues that they're being held up because their court has actually stopped some stuff that's going on there. But the other thing is as what they're actually building, because I don't believe for a second it's a ballroom. I mean, yes, there will be a ballroom there, but I don't believe for a second that that's what's going on there. Not for a second.
Yeah.
I think something's going on underground there, and something that is just, above our pay grade, so to speak. But yeah. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. Thank you. And if you're still, was that a recent? Oh yeah, it's recent. So where are you? Where are you? Are you in Palestine now, or are you in the diaspora? Where are you?
Well, either way.
And do you make good magluba? And is there a way for me to get vegetarian magluba? Is there ever seafood magluba? Because
Murdoch.
I'm serious. I'm hungry now.
Yeah, well, I'm hungry too. Murdoch with the $4.99 again. Well done, guys. Much respectfully for your capacitors to entertain, alert views. This is the only way, even though her immigration take was blah.
Yeah, agreed. I agree. I mean, and Peter forces me to commingle with people that I would otherwise not commingle with. And as people know, I'm not a debater. I don't want to debate with people. I know what I know. I'm happy to share with what I know, but I don't want to debate it. I'm not debating single payer healthcare. I'm not debating how we should treat people. These to me are not things. I don't want to debate this shit. I'm not saying I couldn't. I'm saying I don't want to. I assure you I could debate handedly.
Okay, privileged one.
No, but I am someone who had to do moot court and mock trial and was a litigator. So I'm just saying I could debate. I don't want to. Oh, you're here. Oh. Why can't I get a no such thing? What do you mean there's no such? Instead of meat, you use vegetables. How could that not be a thing?
Well, in their culture, it probably isn't a common practice, but in the States, maybe it is. That's
Well,
all
you
I'm saying.
remember what happened at the Magluba Fest?
Mm.
When
Jen,
the
Jen,
lady.
Can I
Yeah.
say something, please?
Yeah.
You have to accept the fact that even if you don't want to debate it, and I wouldn't have even necessarily called it a debate, you have a way of explaining things that make people who may not necessarily see it one way ultimately see it another. And that plants the seed. And that is also what's so funny.
Travers, you just weren't on this fast enough, but that's got your. Oh, thank you very much, Hamburger.
You got it. Travers has competition in the chat now with Hamburger.
I was going to say.
You got some competition here. Although I don't know if you're Irish like Travers, but Hamburger, you've got yourself some competition.
Mr. Pink, what boy am I supposed to marry? Please tell me.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You just exclude chicken and it's vegetarian Magluba. Well, that's what I would have thought. But at the Magluba Fest, mind you, and I told the woman that could have been my bubby, except she spoke, I'm assuming she was speaking Arabic, but, and I told her that I don't eat meat. Okay. So she understood that. And then she said, oh, I'll get you chicken. Right. So my point is that, yeah. So then if there's chicken, if you take out the chicken and put in vegetables, it would just be vegetarian Magluba. And the next time there's a Magluba Fest, I'm going to find someone who's going to enter a vegetarian Magluba. See, that's what I'm talking about. Wait, what the F is bubby? What the F is a bubby? Somebody wants to know what a bubby is. Okay, so in Yiddish, it's bubby and Zadie. It's grandma and grandpa. And for me, who I actually called my grandma, but I called her mother, my great grandmother, I called her bubby growing up. She was my bubby. But I guess it's an Ashkenazi Jewish thing. But yeah, so the Palestinian lady that was standing next to me, like she looked like my bubby, right? Like she was just like trying to feed me. That was my point.
So I think it is imperative whether one thinks that debating gives credibility to one side or not. I think where's that feedback coming from?
It's not me. I thought it was her. It might be you. It's not me.
How could it be me?
How could it be me?
Anyway, I think it's imperative. I also want to know who was pulling down the banner when we were
wasn't me. I haven't touched anything. You are paranoid. What do you think, Peter? You've been campaigning with me. You've been out with me in public for like 7 years now, you know.
It depends on the people, but Jen's not an extrovert the way that I am. It's two different personalities, but I would definitely say that it depends on who you're around. I think if you're around people that would drive you up a wall, like if you were stuck in a room, like trying to talk to a bunch of Zios in Weston.
No, I can't talk to I barely made it out of Century Village.
Like that would okay. So there was an instance where Jen went to speak with a group of bubbies, if you will, in Century Village. And let's just say that I could see it on her face, how uncomfortable she felt in this room.
This was post-October 7th. Pre-October 7th, the bubbies would eat out of my hand.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm good with the bubbies.
But the truth had to be told. And so that's part and parcel for what happened. And, again, I know politics is just something that I understand and that I've always been involved in. And even though I don't want to have to explain away what it is that I stand for, what I believe, one of the hallmarks of politics is that you have to repeat yourself 1,000 times over. It's not that you want to, it's that it's just par for the course, because sometimes it's.
So that's like living in a house with boys where you
maybe.
ask them to do things and you have to repeat yourself 1,000 times over. Okay, I got you. So politics is like living in my house.
Well, like I said, it's not something that you necessarily want to do. I mean, again, debating a point about single payer healthcare to me is a moot point, because single payer is the answer. but there's still way too many people out there who still don't understand. There's also way too many people out there who frame immigration. Even if you're a hardliner on immigration, you're still framing it in the wrong context. There's still way too many people like, well, these are illegals and they come in here and they do this, that, and the other thing. What, you mean like 1% of the people that actually make it into this country? Why? Because did you ever stop to think that there is an agenda at hand here and that everything is based on money and power? Not too many people are willing to take it in the direction that you need to take it in.
This is why I don't debate. That's why I don't debate.
Okay. Well, as I said, but you know what? It doesn't matter, David. It doesn't matter if you're right. There are too many people that share her thought process. So yes, the debate is necessary because it's important to frame it in the context of understand where you're coming from, but this is why you have it wrong. And here's why you have it wrong. When it comes to single payer healthcare, there is no debate, even though there is a debate. If you are a fiscal conservative or a libertarian, there is no more fiscally conservative way to run a health system than single payer. Nothing comes close. So if that's what you care about, then you would support that. But propaganda is a pretty big problem that we have in this country. We have to fight it off daily. We have to fight it off in the chat. We have to fight it off with guests. It is our duty with a channel that is growing to continue to speak truth to power, even if we have to repeat ourselves a few thousand times. On Saturday, as I said, I will address the Candace Erica situation. I will also address a number of other issues, potentially what's going on with Taiwan. I didn't even get a chance to get to this tonight. We do not have a chance to get to it now, but I'm going to share the screen just for a second so you guys can see this, and we will talk about it. If not Saturday, then definitely on Monday.
Wait, which? Not Taiwan? Because I want to talk about Taiwan too.
China says U.S. will only harm itself after Washington approves 11 billion arms sale to Taiwan. If China is saying this, you better fucking listen. You're barking up the wrong tree. And remember, they don't have to come at us with missiles. They just come at us with different types of sanctions that we can't see.
Well, which is why we've already lost the sanction war. We've already lost this with China, that we're not winning that. We need them. They don't need us. It's a loss. This is one of those things that is just so clear as day. It's so strange to me that anybody wouldn't this is beyond, this is lower than elementary school understanding. We need them more than they need us. Well, then how is it we think that we're going to punish them when we need them more than they need us? Isn't this like just basic logic 101? Like, what am I missing?
There is nobody that can beat me in a debate when it comes to single payer healthcare because it's very simple. You're removing the for-profit.
We don't need to get into it now. We really don't. We don't need to get off on the tangent.
No, you're removing the for-profit middlemen in between you and your doctors, and it saves $500 billion a year by the most conservative of measurements. You care about the debt. You care about the deficit in this country. This is the only answer. And I don't need to say more. Everyone's like, oh, you debate this. No. You're eliminating copays. You're eliminating deductibles. All of that shit's out the window. Who needs it?
Free Taiwan? Free Taiwan from what? From us? We should free them from us. Taiwan is China.
China.
It's part of China.
It's China.
One China.
One China.
And again, it's one of those things that if they don't want to be part of China, then they need to figure that out amongst themselves, electorally, whatever it is that they want to do or whatever it is. None of it has anything to do with us.
Oh, yeah. You start fucking, you really start fucking with China's economy, start fucking with it. Wait till you see how much it's going to cost you to have a MacBook Pro or just a simple MacBook Apple computer. Triple the cost.
It's all going to, let me tell you, we cannot win a trade war, really, with anyone. We rely on the world for 80%. 80% of what we need in this country we rely on trade. So I don't see how we win that with anybody. So,
Jen, what do we have coming up on Monday?
so guys, Monday, for people who do not know, is the winter solstice. It's the 22nd. I am a fan of celebrating the winter solstice. I will be having my Bûche Noël cake, which I know you probably boucle. How do you say? I am so not. I'm such a gringa. It's the roll. It's the chocolate roll cake with the filling in it, and it has like little But so it is a solstice. We are having a solstice, and for our solstice, we are going to be airing our grievances. Now, in a real solstice, what we would do, we would write down all of the things that happened this year that we want to kind of get past, get over, move on from. And we would write them down and we would burn them on the Yule log and we would throw them out there into, and whatever. So instead, we're going to air our grievances. And we have a myriad, a cast of characters, if you will, that are going to be joining us throughout the evening, coming on to air their grievances. Some very cool people will be joining us on Monday. I don't know if you want to hint anybody, but yeah.
No, let's make it a surprise. We'll drop some. Well, I already did. Well, I already did hint that Anthony Aguilar might very well be one of those guests.
I want Anthony. I wish he would change his profile picture. He looks so angry in it, and he's such a. I know he's just so. No, I know he is, but he's a cutie poo. And I just feel like
it's a Festivus for the rest of us. And no, it wasn't Kramer. It was Mr. Costanza's holiday.
And yes, and we used to do Festivus here. Actually, guys, I still have, this is our Festivus poll from when we used to do Festivus. But the problem is that now I can't even think about Seinfeld without feeling just disgusted and ashamed, and it's just gross. So
why do people hate Israel?
Exactly. I hate him. I hate everything about it now and whatever. But we still are going to air grievances because I do we need to air our grievances for the year, and then we toss them and we move on to the next year. That's a solstice.
Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. Jen and I need to get some food. We love you all. We appreciate you all. And
free Palestine.
good night, guys.